Incredible. 14 days. 14 days until the NFL draft, man. 14 days from tonight. We start this bad puppy up, and we find out where the Philadelphia Eagles are going to pick. We find out what teams in the NFC East and what they're going to do to try to better themselves. Make no mistake about it here, man. Okay? Unbelievable in what's going on. Unbelievable. So, again, we appreciate you guys coming aboard here. Thank you guys so much. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button, and all of our super chats go to the top, and you guys get that right out of the gate here. I want to start this thing off by doing this here. I love the Masters. I really do. I love the Masters, man. It's one of my favorite events of the year. It's one of the great American events. I love, you see there with Gary Player and Jack Nicklaus and Tom Watson. They tee it up. They start the tournament next 4 days. Golf is, for whatever reason, getting great ratings. They're getting great ratings. And I got a feeling that it's got a lot to do with there's very little politics involved in it. Outside of the live stuff, you got a lot of people that are watching this. Why do you think golf now is making a resurgence a little bit when it comes to the ratings and TV? Every event has been up pretty much. Every single event that they have had. Okay? I think it's got a lot to do with that. The participants, there's not a lot of politics, like I said, that's involved with golf. These guys are millionaires. I mean, I think it's got a lot to do with the middle America and the South. A lot of the sports are so political. The NFL has gotten away from it. NBA and baseball are still involved in it. So I think that's one of the reasons why you're going to see massive ratings over the next 4 days for the Masters. I like that event. I watch it. I won't lie. I watch it more when Tiger's involved. Holy cow. So Xander and I were talking. We had Dan Morgan on yesterday. Just so you know, Brittany Krause, she's the best. He goes like this, really love BK. So Dan Morgan, who was on yesterday with us, the president of Morgan & Morgan, wanted to give a shout out to Brittany Krause, who they went to Florida together with. And I guess Brittany was the sideline reporter for the Gators, which is really cool. So, yeah, cool there. So you got a shout out there, Brittany. Hit the like button. So I got a call prior to the show. Craziest way somebody contacted me. It's crazy. This guy, let me see his name. What was his name was? And he called my wife. And this guy from USA, I thought somebody was pranking me. And so my wife goes, somebody from USA Today contacted you or contacted her, and they were talking about Shedeur Sanders. His name was Josh Peter. I even asked the guy, how'd you get my wife's number? He goes, well, she's in the book here. And I'm going like, she's in the book? And so he asked me my opinion on Shedeur Sanders. And he asked me, why am I calling him a bust? I was like this. I said, well, I don't think that Deion Sanders is going to be able to carve out the utopia that he's had at Jackson State and at Colorado, wherever he ends up getting drafted. I don't believe he's going to a situation where, again, it's going to test his mettle out. And I also preface this by saying this. I said this, I go, I don't see transcending talent with Shedeur Sanders. And I also said, how many people like Joe Burrow or Josh Allen. These guys go into places and change the landscape of those respected organizations. Do you see him going in to Cleveland and changing the fortunes of the Browns or the Giants if he's fortunate enough to get drafted by those two teams? I don't think so. I don't see that talent. I mean, what did he do at Colorado? Now, I give this to you. Colorado stunk prior to Deion showing up, but I think Deion would have turned that thing around with or without Shador. You know, somebody asked me a question. Who do you think will have a better pro career, Bronny or Shador? I go, neither. I go, the kid at Miami, Cam Ward, I think he's a good-looking prospect. But when I see him, do I see the first pick in the draft? And do I see Andrew Luck? Absolutely not. I don't see that. Hey, don't be shocked if the best quarterback in the draft turns out to be Will Howard from Ohio State. What's the one thing that Will Howard has over every one of those other quarterbacks that are going in the draft? He won the national championship. The one thing you could say about the quarterback from Ohio State, at least he's a winner. That's the one intangible that, guess what? Sometimes even supersedes ability. And I'll give you an example here. Tom Brady, when he came out of college at Michigan, he ran a 5.4 40. My daughter can outrun him. He ran a 5.4 40. Nobody said he had a strong arm. He wasn't a great athlete. But you know what he did do? His final year at Michigan, he won. He's a winner. Isn't that what you say about Jalen Hurts? He may not have the greatest arm. He may not be the greatest thrower of the football, but he surely wins everywhere he's been. Alabama, Oklahoma, and now with the Eagles. Surely that intangible has to matter. Winning, what's more important to you? A guy with a strong arm or a winner? I'm going to recruit a winner every day. Every single day. You know, it's funny. What we're talking about here, athleticism doesn't necessarily mean the end result where you're going to be a better football player. Aaron Rodgers is a better athlete than Tom Brady. Is he a better quarterback? Absolutely not. Winning matters. Get this. Here's Sue's famous line here. 2903. No one will ever consider that guy to be a consistent quarterback. He has not put up NFL numbers in 4 years of starting. He hasn't put those numbers up. But he surely put up the wins. That has to matter. Isn't it funny? Quarterbacks are gauged more by their athleticism when they come out of college than they are about the fact whether you win or lose. Shedeur Sanders has never beaten a top 25 team in his entire career. I'm supposed to think that guy's a winner? Especially if he goes to New York, the Giants, or Cleveland? I don't see it. I'm not sure we will see another prospect like Manning or Luck in the game. It's different with the RPOs in college. Even Brady said the position is watered down. The position is watered down because there's not an innate ability for these guys coming out of college to understand what it takes to read a defense. You got to be able to read a defense. Nowadays, you're more reliant on ability and your athleticism. That's not going to win. That's not going to win. Tom Brady wasn't the most gifted player in the history of the sport. He just was the greatest student of the sport. There's something to be said about that. I'd rather have the greatest student of the sport than the greatest athlete. The greatest athlete? That's not going to win Super Bowl. Look at the greatest athlete in the game right now at quarterback. You could make the argument it's Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. Okay? Great athletes, 2 superior athletes, phenomenal guys. Also have to be able to understand the game, see the game, let it come to you. These guys are great and gifted. Those are gifted players. Hurts is not in that league with those 2 guys. When it comes to athleticism and size and strength, and quickness. Burrows, as you heard Bruce Arians say the other day, Bruce Arians said, Burrow's the real deal. When you look for an NFL-type quarterback, that's what you're looking for, is Joe Burrow. Okay? You're starting to see a little bit of that with Jaden Daniels in Washington. Make no mistake about it. Again, if Shedeur Sanders, his best thing, in my opinion, would be that he falls in the draft and he goes to the Steelers and Mike Tomlin can work with him. The Steelers are great at being able to evaluate talent and being able to develop talent. Hey, senor, that's not what I said here, man. Hurts is nowhere in that room with those men. Nobody would draft him over those players. I don't give a shit what he has. Nobody would start their football team around him. They build around him. Okay? They build the team around him with great players. Josh Allen is the team. Lamar is the team. What was Cincinnati before Burrow showed up? They were even worse. Okay? We're talking about athleticism here. Skill set. That's how I told you. You're changing the conversation. Winning has to matter. Has to matter. Okay? Hey, senor. No. You know what you need, dude? You need a reality check. Okay? Because your boyfriend, anytime somebody says something about your boyfriend, you get a little upset. I don't give a shit. You look at the best players at each position and guys that you would build your team around. If you were to hold an NFL draft of 32 teams, how many teams in the league do you think would pick Hurts number 1 overall? 1. The Eagles. The Eagles. Okay? Nobody else would. End of the day. So when I told this guy, and I don't know, maybe he'll probably write something shitty. I'm not sure. I don't know him from a can of paint. He called my wife. I don't even know how he got my wife's number from USA Today. And I just said, hey, he goes, have you gotten any backlash? You know what I said? Backlash. What does that got to do with evaluating a guy and whether you think a guy's going to be good or not? That has nothing to do. Backlash, I've been dealing with that my entire life. Who gives a shit about that? How does that even become part of the conversation? I'm not part of the story. Don't make me part of the story. Okay? I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if USA Today comes out. Here's a guy I wouldn't be shocked. Nowadays, if you make a comment on somebody automatically goes to the freaking race card instead of somebody just saying what they feel about it. I don't give a shit. And I told the guy, I don't give a shit if Shedeur Sanders is black, white, green, as long as he wins. Who cares about that? I told the guy, what do you think? NFL scouts and teams have a blackboard with black players on it and a board with white players and go, well, I got to make sure dude, people don't give a shit about that anymore. They care about winning. I don't care about sexual. Dude, seriously. The number one thing I tell folks, they go, it's funny, the NFL is not open to having gay players. I'm like, who cares? If a guy helps you win a ball game, who gives a shit what that looks like? Seriously, man, when you're in there, nobody cares about your politics, your sexuality, or anything when you're in a 4-quarter football game. Nobody cares about that. Stupid conversations for ignorant people who like making bullshit up. Okay? Honest to God. Hey, I mean, at the end of the day, it's almost like if a guy gets pulled out of a baseball game now. I saw a comment up in Boston where somebody was critical of one of the pitchers with the Red Sox. And the guy goes, the guy's not pitching very well. The guy called him a racist in the newspaper. You're like, wait a minute. The guy stunk. He gave up 5 runs in the first inning. He pulled him, said he was not pitching well. Guy called him a racist in the newspaper in the Globe. You're like, what? We're now doing that? Man. What they're doing here is they're turning Shedeur Sanders, any negativity that you have on him, they're trying to make a racist, or they're trying to make a racial divide in the conversation that he's not getting a fair chance. I'll make a point to you one more time. If that guy's name was Shedeur Ewers, like Quinn Ewers in Texas, he'd be a 4th-round pick. Holds the ball too long, doesn't throw the football away, bitches about his O-line, and his dad carved out the perfect place for him in 2 spots. Well, welcome to the NFL when you have to go to shitty teams. And you have to carry an organization on your back. Shit, Jalen Hurts is a Super Bowl MVP. And he takes more shit than any quarterback in the league today. And he's a winner, and he takes more shit than any quarterback. You better man up, dude, and you better toughen up. Because just because your last name is Sanders, that ain't going to carry you to the finish line. Let me say this to you about the Manning boys. The Manning kids, they superseded their fathers, and their father was an MVP in the league. Eli and Peyton, they superseded their father, who was a hell of a player. Just because your dad was a superstar player, ask Michael Jordan's kids. Ask Chris Sims. That doesn't give you the recipe to be a success in the NFL. Same thing with Bronny James. LeBron James is pissed off because the media gets on his kid's ass for not being good. Well, welcome to the world of pro sports. Dude, I'll tell you this about covering female athletes and female sports too. People get on people like the gymnast, any basketball WNBA player. If you want to be in the mainstream conversation, you cover everyone the same, good and bad. You don't give preferential treatment because she's a woman. That is sexist, in my opinion. You cover people for the merits of what they do and accomplish. Serena Williams is probably one of the top 3 athletes in the history of American sports. You could make an argument that you could call her the greatest athlete we've ever seen in American sports. I believe that. And she's criticized because she's a female and she's black. And she dominated a white guy sport. And she's from Compton. That's sensational. That's a story. That's America. When I look at an American sports figure, that's America. Not Michael Phelps swimming at a country club, playing polo when he's done toweling off. Okay? That, to me, is not an American story. Serena Williams is what America's about. I love that kind of story. So don't talk to me about, well, you're being critical of Shedeur. What do you think he is? He's moving into a world where he's going to have to do something without his dad. And he's going to have to be carrying it on his own merits. Nobody in America is going to give him the benefit of the doubt because your life has been carved out so well by your dad. Like I said, Jalen Hurts is one of the most scrutinized and one of the most critically looked at players in the NFL. That guy, February 9th, won the Super Bowl. And you can't be critical of a guy who played at Colorado and never beat a top 25 team. Give me a break. Give me a break. By the way, I'm not saying Josh is saying that about me, but I thought some of the questions right out of the gate. Have you received any backlash for your comments? I'm like, what's that got to do with anything? Backlash? What does that have to do with Shedeur Sanders' play? It has nothing to do with it. I mean, people are afraid to say anything nowadays because there's political ramifications about it. Because we have put everyone in a box. You know, it's funny. If you make a political comment about something, you're automatically a liberal or a conservative. You can't have your own way of thinking. Well, I believe in both sides. No, you don't. No, you don't. You can't do that. Because everyone likes to cookie cutter people's lives. You're a Trump guy. No, you're not. Oh, yeah, I am. Oh, you are. Wait, what? I believe in this and I believe in that. I have my own way of thinking. People don't like those folks because it's against the grade. Hey, God forbid you take people's opinions on both sides of the aisle and you form your own opinion and you're not a follower. Like I said before to people, by the way, I don't preach to folks. Who am I? I'm not better than you. I don't preach to people. But I will say this. I will never be led by other people's thinking. And that has been something that I have stand on. It's because you don't like that person, that has no bearing on me. I used to do that at my work when I was at Clear Channel. There was this lady down in sales or accounting, I think it was. Everybody used to hate this lady. Well, that wasn't my case. She loved me. You know why? I went down and talked to her. People are sheep. Very sad. All right. We're going to get into the topics. Do me a favor. Yeah, I was like kind of taken today that I got a call from USA Today through my wife. Hey, somebody's looking for you. I'm like, who? Josh Peter from USA Today. And I looked it up. He is a sports writer. And I'm like, okay, why are you so critical of Shedeur Sanders? I go, okay. Is that how we're starting? Okay. And I was like, all right. I mean, hey, look, it's one thing for people. No, I will not stop talking to people. This is what I do for a living. Okay? This is what I do for a living. This is how my show and people watch it. Okay? I mean, stop talking to people. This is what I do every day. I do this 20 hours a week. Hit the like button, guys. Unbelievable. Stop talking. Xander, turn it off. This is what I do. Sills hates dual threat quarterbacks unless he's Josh Allen. No. I like people that win. Well, maybe so a little. Well, Josh Allen throws for 4,000 yards. Josh Allen, like Bruce Arians said, has a cannon. Okay? Has a cannon for an arm. Is one of the most gifted players this league's ever seen. So, unless he's Josh Allen, I don't know. One thing Hurts is not is Josh Allen. He's never going to throw for $4,000. And he's never going to be Joe Burrow or any of those other guys. He's going to be Jalen Hurts. As long as he's in Philadelphia, he's going to continue to win the way they have set up that team for them to win. He goes anywhere else, he'll never win. And by the way, I would say 31 other quarterbacks are probably jealous of Jalen Hurts' setup in Philadelphia. I would be. Organizationally, drafting-wise, signing contracts, I would be jealous too. Because they do it right. Absolutely. Is Josh Allen jealous of Jalen Hurts having that organization in Philly? You bet he is. Is Joe Burrow jealous that they don't have a good owner that knows how to spend money? You bet he is. Absolutely true. I send money because I like talking to Sills. What do you mean stop talking? Sills the best Alabama defensive player ever. Hightower, the best Alabama defensive football player of all time is Derek Thomas. And you can make the comment next is Cornelius Biscuit Bennett. Love Biscuit. Been on this program. Dear friend of mine. I'll say that Derek Thomas is the greatest football player defensively Alabama's ever produced. And Cornelius Bennett would be second. Hightower's a hell of a football player, though. Okay? Get this. I'll take jewelry. That don't necessarily get you to the Hall of Fame, my friend. I always ask that question. Would you want to be one of the 300 greatest players in the sport or own a Super Bowl ring like Nick Foles and an MVP? Who would you rather be? A Hall of Famer or a Super Bowl champion? What would you rather be? Would you rather have and be one of the 300 greatest players of all time? Or Joe Flacco, a Super Bowl MVP? Who would you rather be? Phil Simms, Super Bowl MVP. Super Bowl champion. Or a Hall of Famer. You know why many people would say Hall of Famer? Because you're based on your merits of what you brought to the game and how you revolutionized the game. Not part of a team. A Super Bowl title is a team accomplishment, not a player accomplishment. How many quarterbacks have won multiple Super Bowls in multiple places? I think that's Peyton Manning, right? Is there anybody else that's ever done that won multiple Super Bowls in multiple places? I think Peyton Manning, Denver and Indianapolis. I'm trying to think. Brady too. That's right. Thank you, Emrace. Brady and Manning are the only two men ever to win multiple Super Bowls in multiple places. Montana never won a Super Bowl in Kansas City. He did go to the AFC Championship game. Aikman played on one team. So it's only two men that have ever done that. There's no coach in NFL history that has ever won a Super Bowl in multiple places. Why do you think that is? Coaches are tied to quarterbacks. Chuck Noll, look at the end of his career after Bradshaw left. Spags won a Super Bowl as a head coach? I must have missed that. Shula did not. When did Shula win a Super Bowl with the Colts? I missed that one. He was beaten Super Bowl III. Yeah. Guys, do me a favor. Hit the like button. I'm sorry we're not on Twitter right now. We'll see if we can fix that. Possibly for tomorrow here, but we appreciate you guys. Now, please hit the like button. 4 quarterbacks to do it, but 2 to win. Yeah, to get to the game. I think Kurt Warner got there too with Arizona. And he won, obviously, with the Rams. Okay? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think that, but again, very difficult to win that Super Bowl. And by the way, I'm not dismissing what Jalen did on February 9th in any way, shape, or form. No way. His resume right now, if Troy Aikman could get into a Super Bowl and win it, the difference there is that Troy Aikman won 3 of them. Right now, Jalen Hurts is so far away from being a Hall of Famer. It's unbelievably far. However, he wins another one, and having gone to 3 and wins multiple, you're going to make an argument he's a Hall of Fame player. Seals, but his numbers, I don't care. If Aikman gets in, he gets in. Okay? He gets in. Craig Morton did too. Denver Broncos and the Dallas Cowboys. He lost in Denver against those Cowboys and Randy White and Harvey Martin and them guys. Absolutely true. Okay? Dan, should the Cowboys give Lawrence Taylor, a.k.a. Micah Parsons, a 5-year deal? They're going to do it because, you know why? Jerry drafted him, and Jerry falls in love with his draft picks. Micah Parsons is overrated. Anybody who looks at that guy and says he's generational, to what end? I'll show you what generational is. Hey, Kyle, anyone? Tell me this. Ken Norton Jr. holds the NFL record for 3 consecutive Super Bowl rings, doing so 93, 94, 95. He was a former teammate of mine, too. Love Kenny Norton. Love Kenny Norton. Great football player. Absolutely true. Let me ask you something here about Lawrence Taylor. The Giants hadn't been to a championship game or the playoffs until Lawrence Taylor showed up in his rookie year, and that was 36 years. He changed the direction of the New York Giants, revolutionized the position. How in the world are you comparing that guy to him? He changed the outside linebacker position. Okay? He changed it. This guy here saying Micah Parsons is better than Myles Garrett. I don't remember Micah Parsons ever being on a number 1 ranked defense. You know why? He has no impact. 0 impact on a football team. Seals, can a player make the Hall of Fame if they don't have great regular season numbers, but also outstanding postseason numbers? I think that's Troy Aikman. Nobody would ever confuse Troy Aikman with Joe Montana or Peyton Manning or Terry Bradshaw or any of those other guys. I don't think Aikman ever threw for $4,000 in his entire career. Now, albeit it was a different NFL, but he was the 3rd best player in the huddle. The best player at the Dallas Cowboy huddle was Emmitt Smith. Then it went to Michael Irvin, and then it was Aikman. Of the triplets, he's the lesser, but he's the most important guy. Why? Because he didn't get in the way. You know why Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl? Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl because he couldn't be coached. Dan Marino didn't want to be coached. He thought just throwing the ball in the air was going to get it done, not having a proficient running game. Only one 1,000-yard rusher in 17 years in Miami. Jimmy tried to bring a running game in. Dan wanted no part of it. Jimmy tried trading him. Dan Marino wanted no part of it. And that's why Dan Marino never won. When John Elway won a Super Bowl, why did he win? Terrell Davis. They ran the ball. They got away from throwing the ball 35 times a game. When Michael Jordan started winning championships, how'd they win? Less scoring, more defense. You know, when Jordan retired, he was third in steals. He considered one of the greatest defensive players of all time. That's how they won titles. You got to give a little bit up to make the rest of your team better. I say this all the time, and you guys, one day, I got to tape it. You got to watch my daughter play rugby. Okay? I'll tell you why. She makes every person better around her. Everybody. That's her secret. Is she the best on the field? No, but you know what she does do? Every person that plays next to her is better because of it. Their team got knocked out, her college, in the playoffs in the opening round. You know what I noticed right away? They didn't have that one person that made everyone better around them. That's what a quarterback does. My kid was the quarterback of her team for 3 years. And she made everyone great around her. At sacrificing her own on scoring. That's what made her special. Almost completely unreplaceable. That's called being a leader. That's why she was captain for 3 years. Made everyone better. That's the idea of what a quarterback is supposed to do. Make every single Troy Aikman, making Michael Irvin better. Jalen making AJ better. And get this, that's what Steph Curry does. Steph Curry, you know what? My kids played with so many great rugby players. Look what Steph Curry did when they got Kevin Durant at Golden State. Hey, this is your team. You're the best player on it. I told you this before. Dwayne Wade said the same thing about LeBron. This is your team. Everyone knew the leaders of those teams were Steph Curry and Dwayne Wade. You know why? They wanted those guys because they needed those guys to make sure that their ego was intact, sacrificing their own ego. You know the worst thing my daughter does? She has no ego. She's not a fat mouth like her dad. That's one of my greatest assets and one of my worst things I have in my life is my passion. My passion's got me fired more times. And get this, but my passion carried me to the National Football League. Okay? Stevie has an ego? Yes. Stevie has an ego. Yes, he does. Anybody go by this house? Stevie's got an ego. Can't come by my house. That's for damn sure. Hit that like button, guys. Don't forget all supers go to the top. All right, I'm gonna make a draft. I'm gonna ask you something here for the draft. Where do the New York? Is it the Cleveland Browns? The Cleveland Browns have the second pick, right? I know you guys love Stevie. Yeah, don't worry. I'm sure he'll be barking his ass off a little later on. Okay? AJ Stevie. All right. AJ Brown. Sills, would you trade the first-round pick to the Texans for Will Anderson Jr.? You ain't getting that guy. You're not. What do you think? You're going to get the 32nd pick in the draft for Will Anderson Jr.? Bro, you would have to give 2 first-round picks up for him. All right. I do have something, though, on the table for you. So who's got the second pick? Is it the Browns? The Browns have the second pick in the draft, right? All right, guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Right. The Browns, right? Okay. Thanks, senor. Would you trade the 32nd pick, the 64th pick, the 96th pick, and the 134th pick to the Cleveland Browns to get the second overall pick? Would you do that to draft Abdul Carter? There's nobody else there's two dudes, Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. Get this. Who are you drafting at 32 that you think's going to make an impact on your team in 2025? I told you this yesterday. Free agency stunk, okay? And the draft stinks. But you think you're going to retool your defense and you're going to be a top 10 defense is insane. In one of the worst draft classes we've seen, and by the way, one of the worst free agent classes we've seen, and you're going to get better. Shit, the draft is next year, folks. That's the better draft. The kid from BC. Sure. All right. Yeah. I don't think so. I think he's too small. He's 6'1". Okay? Or you could draft Travis Hunter at number 2. And there's your corner on the other side of Quinn Young. Can you imagine this? Let me set this up for you. Okay? Let me set this up for you. Quinyon Mitchell at one corner. Travis Hunter at the other corner. Cooper DeJean. Reed Blankenship. There's your secondary. I don't know. What do you think? That's 4 picks for 1. Yeah, because I think after 15, they're all between 15 and 55. I think they're all the same guys. I don't think there's anybody exceptional in this draft, except really 2 dudes. There's like 2 exceptional guys in this draft. Like I said, these quarterbacks that people are evaluating, I would not be shocked if the kid from Ohio State turns out to be the better quarterback. Tyler Warren? Sure, okay. He looks like a good prospect. You think Tyler Warren is going to be better than Dallas Goedert? I don't know. We'll see. I'm not going to trade all 4 players for Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. What are you taking at 32? James Pierce, who's a good player? Or would you rather get one of the blue chip guys? Remember something, the Eagles are not far away from rebuilding that defense up again. You're not far away. You're probably 2 drafts away from getting back in the top 5. I'll make this point to you. I think the Eagle defense is probably going to go between 15 and 20 this year. It'll be somewhere in there. Is that going to be good enough? Yeah, it's going to be good enough to have you hang around and get into the final 4 teams. Yeah, probably so. You'll be better by the end of the year. Okay? Thank you, Marcus. I appreciate it, brother. Okay? Let's see here. You said all that and was proven wrong. No one takes you serious. I'm not sure what you're talking about, James. I don't think you're talking to me. So we're all good. You don't think the Campbell kid's a stud? I think the Campbell kid's good. I'm going to look at safeties here in a minute. And that's a position of need that you guys have. I think he's a good ball player. He's a beast. There's no beast in these drafts. I don't see a Will Anderson Jr. Like, get this. Will Anderson Jr., there's nobody in this draft like him. There's nobody in this draft like a Patrick Surtain or a Derek Stingley. There's nobody in there. I mean, I don't see one position where I go, man, there's a superstar kid outside of those two guys. Okay? Will Campbell, I think he's the future right guard. Now, I'll tell you what, this Malachi Starks kid from Georgia, I'm all right with him. I'm with you on this. Of all the Colorado guys, the two guys that I think are going to turn out to be stars off that Colorado team will be Joe Horn Jr. and Travis Hunter. Because your last name is Sanders does not guarantee you a Hall card and you're going to be a great player in the NFL. Sure, he lived in that environment. He grew up in that environment. That's not a ticket to success. That's a ticket to know what's to expect. I'm not saying that doesn't help, because it does. Okay? Look, again, the more you watch film on these guys, like I showed you those edge guys, and the Walter Nolan guy, the more I watch film on him, the more I talk to Clint, I think he's got a terrible first step. I mean, is he going to be an upgrade over Jordan Davis? I told Clint no. Jordan Davis is a better player and a better prospect with more upside than him. That was my opinion. The kid from Michigan has got an amazing first step. He's a good-looking player. If you watch him more on film, you kind of fall more in love with him. But I don't know, man. He's not very productive. The kid from Ole Miss, awful strong, does not move his weight distribution all that well. He is a better version of Mozzie Smith. Yeah, probably. But I don't think shit of Mozzie. I mean, the more film you watch, guys, I told you, first step, great hands, being able to use your hands. That, to me, is going to tell us a little bit more about players. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Won't find out another. Dude, that's too late. You see what this guy says here? RC3, I'm not picking on you here. Won't find another Jordan Davis the next 5 years. Jordan Davis has underachieved. You're making it seem that I'm saying that Jordan Davis, because he's better than the kids that are coming out in the draft, that I'm just telling you the draft is not as great as you think it is. The kid from Michigan is good. The interior defensive tackle. There's a couple guys in there that I would draft, but I wouldn't draft him in the first round. I would take him in the second or third round. I agree this draft is average. You missed my super. I apologize. Xander, if I missed his super, can we get him up there? Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Give me a total on the likes. Anthony, if you want to repost it, go right ahead, and I'll read it anyway. Just repost it for me here on the super chat here. Here it is. Thank you, Xander. Funny, I have this argument with my 21-year-old son all the time. He doesn't understand how physical the game of basketball and football was in the 90s. Absolutely, Anthony. Physicality was what those sports were all about. Hey, Anthony, don't you find it odd that one of the reasons nobody watches the NBA is because you don't have Bill Lambiers in the sport anymore? Or you don't have Anthony Masons, and you don't have people like that in the game of hitting and the knockout hits, like even from Cam Chancellor. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the games are changing because people don't like to see. I don't know. I like physical football. Is it that you don't value guard, or you don't think Campbell will be a stud guard? I know a lot of teams don't value guard. I'm not taking the 32nd pick and making a guard out of it. I'll get that guy. I think Will Campbell and any other guy in the draft from 15 down is the same guy. And I can get that guy in the second round and not pay him any money, or not pay him first round money. Here, follow me here. You're looking at names, JD3. Remember what I told you about how you profile players? It's like it's like the FBI looking for a serial killer. This is how you evaluate. What are the intangibles that this guy has that will fit in our system? What are the traits? You know how the FBI looks for a serial killer? Has this trait, has that trait. That's what a professional scout does. They don't look at the name on the back of the jersey until the very end. What's this kid do great? Great first step. Has a high engine. Is constantly in shape. He's well coached. Fundamentals are there. He's smart on his feet. All of those intangibles. Then you turn the guy around, you see his name. Then you get an idea who he is. Then you interview him. Me, I want to profile a guy. Before I talk to a guy, I want to know if that kind of guy's the guy I want on my team. Then I turn the guy around. Oh, that's his name? Okay. I don't give a shit about your school, who you were, or what you did. Now, the school matters a bit because why? Today, especially. Back then, it didn't. You could get Andre Reed from Kutztown State. You're not getting Andre Reed from Kutztown State any longer because of nil. Why do you think college sports has changed today? Because the programs, look at this. Here are the top programs in the country. And this will tell you a little bit about where you're going to look for players in the draft. Ohio State, Alabama, Penn State, Georgia, Notre Dame, Oregon, Texas, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and LSU. Those are the top 10 that I have preseason. What's the one thing that's constant with those 10 programs? They're the same 10 every year for the last 20 years. Those are the top 10 programs in the country the last 20 years. Why? They have the money, they have the assistant coaches, and they have the conference for exposure. Kids are not going to come out of UConn or they're not going to come out of Temple anymore. Very rarely. Those programs are going away. Why do you think the majority of the success that you see with Howie Roseman is in the Southeastern Conference? Top recruits go to that conference. Hey, by the way, I love the University of Miami. I will never not say anything that's going to be disparaging towards that football program ever again. But I will tell you this. You'd have a tough time recruiting some of the guys I played with because we would be going to the Southeastern Conference. Why? Nil. If you tried to pay my team from 1986, you couldn't afford us. Ohio State this last year spent $150 million in nil for their starters. What do you think Michael Irvin would cost to have nil today? $5 million bucks? What do you think Vinny Testaverde, a Heisman winner, would cost? The starting quarterback at the University of Miami is driving a Lamborghini right now. Carson Beck. He's driving a Lamborghini. Yet if I played in college football today, I'd have a Big Sills pizzeria on every corner down in Hialeah. I mean, you couldn't afford it. Jerome Brown, Alonzo Highsmith, Cortez Kennedy, Russell Maryland, Warren Sapp. You couldn't afford that team. Those were my backups. Shit. You'd have to spend $300 million on us. And what about my coach, Jimmy Johnson? You'd have to spend, if you're spending $15 million a year now on Kirby Smart, you'd be paying Jimmy 20. You couldn't afford us. That's why you recruit in the Southeastern Conference today, because that's where the best coaching is. That's where the top kids go. Sills, what do you think about college football realignment or college sports realignment? Absolutely, man. Places like San Diego State, and I'll tell you what I like about my daughter's college, Grand Canyon. BlackRock is like the founder, or like the supporter of that thing. They're going to continue to grow. Programs like San Diego State and San Jose State, those programs are going away because they don't have the money. I get this question asked all the time. Sills, which team do you think is the greatest team in the history of the University of Miami? The 87 team or the 2001 team? We clearly had the coaching. Anthony, it's a great question. I've never really responded. I would make this comment to you, and I'm going to be fair. I think the 2001 team is the greatest college football team that's ever lived, and we were second. And then the LSU team that had Joe Burrow and those guys on it, I think it was third, and then that Alabama team was fourth. Those are the four best programs I've ever seen. I can't remember which Bama team it was. One of those Bama teams that had all them guys drafted, the LSU team that had 65 guys drafted. Second would be my 87 Canes team, and then the 01. I thought our 86 team was better. There was something posted. There was something posted just a couple days ago, and I put it on my Twitter page here. By the way, Xander will join us at 3:30. I posted this. This was a couple of years ago, and somebody pointed this out to me. Here it is. The most talented college football teams of all time, according to Fox Sports. The 2017 Alabama Crimson Tide were number 1. The 86 Hurricanes were 2. The 2021 Bulldogs were 3. The 2015 Ohio State Buckeyes were 15 or 4th. And the 2006 Oklahoma Sooners were number 5. 17 Bama's very talented. The 86 Canes were sensational. Best group of coaches and players I've ever been around. I've never seen anything like it. As a matter of fact, the 87 team were our backups that won the national title. Yeah, hey, Xander, I missed that super. I think I can't. Can I get it? No, I can't get it. I just missed the super here. If you guys please hit 2012 Bama, that's a pretty damn good football team. Dre. Bama had a really great collection of players. But again, I mean, if you look at their impact in the NFL, I mean, who's been the greatest during that era of Saban, who was there for a long time? Julio Jones was sensational. Derrick Henry is great. Stingley is a great player. Will Anderson is a great player. Landon Dickerson is a great player. Would we not agree Landon Dickerson, Devontae Smith? Absolutely. Jalen Waddle. Okay. Ingram. Mark Ingram was a good player. He was a good football player. So, I mean, a lot of good football players. But this is why. So, again, one question here. If would I trade multiple draft picks to get Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter? I would, especially in this draft. I might pull a Ricky Henderson. Give you all of them. Big Sills, Miami Canes, elite. Absolutely. It was a great run. Dodd, Miami for a lot of years. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dodd, I think Miami has a consecutive streak now, 50 years where we've had a guy drafted for my program. I think it's a streak of 50 years. I think it's 50 that Miami has had a player drafted in the last 50 drafts. Was Minka Fitzpatrick? Yeah, he was a good player too. Really good. Okay? That's right. I'm with you, Eduardo. Give me one of them draft picks. I mean, give me one of them. Work done. It's Florida State kid. Great player. Absolutely great player. All right. So I'm going to go over the safeties now. Would we not agree that the safety position is a need position? Right? Would we not agree? It's a need position right now for the Eagles. They need that position, right? It's a need position. I wouldn't have a problem with them taking the safety down at that 32 pick. I don't get their philosophy. By the way, I hear John and I hear Xander say this all the time. I take that back. They're not taking a safety at 32. Once again, that thinking's flawed if the Eagles are actually thinking that way. So you're going to take the fifth best edge rusher at 32 versus the best player who's graded high over a guy who might have the same grade, but you have a higher need? Say you had a grading of 90. I don't know. You just pick a guy who's going to be down there at 32. And he has a 90 grade. You get a safety down there who's got a 90 grade. What position are you taking? And if the position of edge is going to have a couple more 90 guys down in the second round, why wouldn't I wait for the second round to get the same player where I can get a safety sitting at 32 with the higher grade? You understand what I'm saying? If there's more edge rushers graded at 90 and there's less safeties graded at 90, why wouldn't I take the safety? I need that position. Grab the guy in the second round at 64 or trade up, and I get the same thing. And I get two players, and I kill one bird with two stones. Why wouldn't I do that? I think you got to have a better thought process here. I'm not saying Howie's not thinking that. But geez, man, I mean, here, let me grab. That's called overdrafting. If you got a guy graded 90, you grab him at 32, and there's three other guys at 90, and they're in the second round, whoever grabs those second round edge rushers had a better draft than you at that position and at that pick, because you know why? There's no fifth-year option. He's cheaper, and he's the same dude. It doesn't make sense. Right? Dan, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but we should leave it to the professionals like Howie Roseman, who won 2 Super Bowls. Well, this is what I do, homie. Let me worry about the content, all right? I love you and I appreciate you. Hey, by the way, I appreciate your input. And you should put in a resume to be a program director. You let me do all this and you do the fanning, right? I'll be all right with that. Eagles used to have 2 of the hardest hitting safeties to ever play in Waters and Hopkins. Loved them. That was Buddy doing that. I mean, those guys are no longer allowed in the league. Those perfect type kids, they're not allowed in the game today. Get this. You know how people were criticizing? I remember Xander saying it too. Isaiah Rodgers, this guy can't hit. He's not, this guy doesn't want to hit anybody. The league doesn't want you to hit anybody. They don't want hitters. I wouldn't say Darius Slay was a hitter. I mean, would you say Darius Slay was a hitter? right? Would you say he was? I wouldn't. He was the fundamentally sound technique guy. That's my pick. Now, that right there, unfortunately, someone's going to take Nolan. If it came down to 32 and Nolan or Pierce are there, Pierce is the grand slam take. I told Clint, that's your guy. Explosive, great hands, great feet, runs the hula hoop, productive, win rate, competition. He's everything you want in an edge rusher. Nolan doesn't have a great get off, not as productive. He's a bull. I think he's limited. I don't think he can play a 3 technique. To me, Jordan Davis is better. I don't know. It's like a 2.0 Jordan Davis, but not as big and not as good. I don't want that. I'm trying to replace Jordan Davis. Walter Nolan ain't it. And I liked him until I started watching more film, until I listened to Carl Dunbar, who worked him out at the combines. He just doesn't have a fast get off. I mean, here, let me see if I can bring my sheet up here on defensive tackles before I get to the safeties. See if I can bring that up here. I'll go back over it again in case some of you missed it. And then I'll do the safeties again. Let's see if I can, because I got a spreadsheet that I was asked. I told you guys the other day, I had a spreadsheet that was asked for me to take a look at some of these players. And we're going to do safeties here in a minute. And I sent this back to Clint. The other night, I've been inundated because I've been doing some work with Stanford football. And it took me a long time to go through that last night. I'm at their linebackers right now. Here we go. I think this is it. Yeah. In case I missed somebody. So here's what I said about the D tackles. Here's Walter Nolan. I'll do it again. Highly recruited kid. 6'3", 290, a little bit under 300 pounds. He's 21. 6.5 sacks. Nice. Interior, that's a good production. 14 TFLs. 10.5 sacks in 25 games. So he really came on his final year. He was a highly recruited kid, remember. I can't believe all the talent that Dumbo Fisher had at Texas A&M. And then he transfers to Ole Miss. He stayed within the SEC. He's a powerful kid. What you like about him and what makes him more of a 2 technique and what makes him more of a guy you could play on the ball, center, 1 technique, shade, maybe a 2. The other guy's in a 3, is that he plays double teams exceptionally well. He's good at the double teams. I mean, but here's the one thing that I don't like. His toolbox on pass rushing, he doesn't have them. He gets lost after the first move. Watch the film. He'll get lost. If he gets stoned in pass rush, he stops. Dude, you stop in college, you stop in the NFL, you get drilled. So he needs to work on his pass rush. Can that improve? Yeah, better coaching. Clint can work with that. I mean, listen, his power helps him get back there. And again, my only problem with him is like Walter Nolan is not exceptionally quick. Like when you watch Jalen Carter, that guy's a freak show. I mean, he's just a freak show. The kid, Shamir Stewart, the kid from A&M, 6'6", 290. He's decent against the run. Explosive first step, But here, this guy had 3 sacks in 25 games. I mean, I don't know. I mean, does that seem like a lot of production? I'm a production guy. I told you this. Okay, I'm a production guy. Fuck them pigs. Do it for the blue chip. Eduardo, I'm with you on that. Here's the guy here, really inside. It's the kid from Michigan. The more you watch him, the more I'm wrong. He's a good player. And he's 21. That's the Kenneth Grant kid. He is just quick as shit off the ball. For being 335 pounds and being 6'3", man, he is just packed in there. I mean, and you know what he does too? He's really good when he gets in the backfield and he moves around, and he's got exceptional feet. He's fast. He's quick. He sees the game. He's a game wrecker. He's better than I thought. The more I watch him, the better I think he is as a ball player. Okay? I just think, again, I think he's a good-looking player. He's got rare ability. I mean, once it, boom, he's right off that line of scrimmage, man. And he's pretty decent against the run. The kid Walker from Kentucky, Deani Walker, 6'6", 350, 1.5 sacks, 24, 7.5 sacks in 2023, so he had a better junior year. His size is enormous. He's 6'6". So he creates issues inside in there because of how big he is. Can you imagine having a 6'6" guy? Listen to this. You put Carter on the nose. You put him over on the defensive tackle position where Morrow is. 6'6", 6'6", 6'5". That's some big dudes in there, man. Okay? If Giants get Hunter, how would they look? A lot better. Because they need help. They still need help at linebacker, but I like their front. Kayvon Thibodeau, obviously Dexter, and also, too, the kid Burns they got a year ago from Carolina. Their defense is getting better. They still need help. By the way, I got 32 teams and their needs. I wrote them down. We're going to look at that, and we'll go over that as we're 14 days out from the draft. The kid Walker, he's a prospect. Okay? There's some decent pass rush moves. I think he's a prospect. You can get him, my opinion, I think this kid's like a second or third round guy. But when I look at him and I look at the kid Shamir Stewart, you know what you're going to do? You're going to fall in love with the Texas A&M kids' measurables because of the combines and think he's a first rounder. I don't think people who don't produce in college are not first round picks. Jordan Davis is a prime example of that. This guy's got the greatest athleticism you've ever seen for a guy that large. And he doesn't produce. Sills, he's a great run stopper. Is that why you picked the 13th pick? So he's a great run stopper? You picked the 13th pick because you want him to be Jalen Carter or Fletcher Cox. When I'm picking in the second round or in the 25th pick, somewhere down there, I'm okay with that. Top 15 picks, I'm not okay with that. Sills, I think the Giants draft Travis Hunter to stop A.J. Brown. Well, that kid better get his lunch pail ready, and he better put a miner's cap on, because the first time that Travis Hunter lines up against A.J. Brown, that's going to be like going from little kiddie high school in a little kiddie chair to being at the big boy chair and sitting at the big table. And I don't give a shit who you are. A.J. Brown is physical, good, tough. He's a ball player, and he's going to school that kid. You can play all that dumb shit and pet in the Big 12. You're going against one of the top 3 players in the sport, And that dude's a ball player. I don't give a shit how you could have 50 Heismans. You line up on that guy, you better bring your lunch pail and your miner's hat and turn that light on bright. Because that guy's going to go to school on you. That don't work. Nobody gives a shit about that. I mean, Travis Hunter, shit, if I'm A.J. Brown, Travis Hunter's a day off. That's a day off for me. I mean, you got a long way to go, kid. TJ Watt trade rumors, thoughts. Yeah, he's going into the final year of his contract. We'll get that. Yeah, we'll get that. Kimbo, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Yeah, well, dude, you think that kid Travis Hunter's ever played against a guy that physical as A.J. Brown? Let me tell you a little of this. Remember something about A.J. Brown's background. Hey, look, I may give that guy shit. But one thing I'll look at with that guy, A.J. Brown, what was his job when he first got into the league? Can you guys help people out? Tell people what A.J. Brown's job was. When he first got into the league, Tennessee, what was his job? His job was to knock people out in the secondary. One of the reasons you saw Derrick Henry, Derrick Henry breaking open was because AJ was blowing people up back there. This guy was a ball catching knockout artist on the Tennessee Titans with a shitty Ryan Tannehill. You don't think you learned how to knock people out? Hey, Travis, you better bring a lunch pail. You're going to work. Man, AJ wears people. AJ wears Marquise Lattimore out. AJ still a good blocker? Yeah, the guy just went for 2,005 yards. I would think so. I would think so. Absolutely, man. No one ever questions that guy's ability. I question his moaning, but, whatever. That TJ Saunders kid, because some of you missed this yesterday, was a basketball player. He has a great first step. The kid from South Carolina's got a lot of great players on it. He's not a very good tackler, though. And, boy, for you to be a defensive interior tackle and you're not a good tackler, man, I got a problem with that. He's got some decent array of pass rush moves, but for me, I don't know. I think the kid's good. Now, you want to go third or fourth round? Sure, I'll take him. The kid, Derek Harmon, he's 6'4", 313. He's a pretty productive kid. He's a quick guy. Now, here's the problem you have here. If he gets beat on his first move, he's stoned. He's got to develop multiple pass rush moves. Okay, he's got to develop more. In college, see, here's the problem in college. When you're a player like these guys, you don't have to have a second pass rush move. That was a problem for me when I got to the NFL. I could beat everybody on my first move in college. Bam, gone. I could beat everyone. The great ones have second and third moves. And if you can't develop, you know what happens to Jordan Davis? Here's what happens to Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis gets beat on his first pass rush move, stops his feet. He's beat. It's not that Jordan doesn't have the ability. He just stops his feet. Dude, if you stop your feet, I don't care if you're Aaron Donald, you're going to get beat. You have to keep your feet moving if you're going to be successful in the NFL. And he stops his feet. Derek Harmon is a good player. Had a bunch of hurries. He's got good football IQ. There's a guy you can teach. He could be down there too at 32. So just keep an eye on that. I mean, those were some of the guys that we talked about. the other day. So some of you guys missed it, but Latimer's still a good football player. So let me get to these safeties. We got Xander coming up. I'll be at the bottom of the hour. Here are the safeties. Malachi Starks. Little bit over 6 feet. He's about 200 pounds. 21-year-old kid. Okay? I mean, what you love about him is he had about 225 snaps that were in the box, and he also played in the slot. Could this be somebody where you move Cooper DeJean out the numbers and drop him in the slot? Could that be your replacement at slot? Keep him at safety next to Reed. He gives you the versatility, and I think that's got to be attractive to Vic Fangio. He was a highly recruited kid going to Athens. And get this, the folks down there say, as soon as he stepped on the field, this Malachi Starks, Kirby Smart knew he was a starter as a freshman. I mean, there's dudes that walk on the field, you go, holy shit, that guy's great. He was that. Okay, so you looked at him, couple practices, first week of practice, you're like, that guy's my starter at safety. You love that because your eyeball test is the first thing that attracts you to a player. If I got to sit around and debate a tape or intangibles or measurables or what have you, that means I'm not sold on him. But when your eyeball test is fixated to a guy and you know immediately on what that guy looks like, you're like, holy shit, that guy's good. Let's take a look at everything else on the guy. So when he got to Athens, they knew he was a starter. That tells you a lot about him. And that's attractive to me when you're talking about him. He's an exceptionally smart player. When you watch him on film, dare I say this, if I told you that guy had intangibles of Ed Reed and setting quarterbacks up, what would you say to that? And you don't want him? Like, I saw him set guys up so that they would throw to a particular zone in their coverages. That's high IQ. He's setting guys up. Can you imagine if he had great corners and a great set of linebackers and what he, not saying he didn't at Georgia. This kid can play, man. I mean, take the film and watch him. I mean, he can play. I think he could play free safety and the slot. Okay? He has, let me say this. And when you're looking at him, this guy was on the Georgia track team. He's a sprinter. No one would ever say that about Reed Blankenship. ESPN number 2 safety, Starks 82 rating. Shamir 89 rating. How can a guy, see this right here? How can a guy have an 89 rating and he never shows up on film? Shamir Stewart never shows up on film. How could you have an 89 rating? That's because they're evaluating the position of safety versus edge. He has no numbers. This guy has 1.5 sacks. I never see him show up. But how can that guy have a higher grade with no numbers? Put a game, watch any A&M game. And you tell me, if you come out of that A&M game, that the other kid scouting is not the better player and produces more. You watch this game and his game, he never shows up on film. I'm sorry, man. If you're not around the ball, he's not even around the ball. And you want to pick him? I don't see that. There's no production. I mean, I don't see it. It's this kid Starks. He's a sensational tackler. And by the way, I'm going to say the one last thing about Malachi Starks. Guess what defensive scheme he's sensational in? What do you think? Zone. But that guy right there, because of the draft, Bud would draft that guy over Starks, who never shows up on film. Let me say this to you. I see somebody in here say this. Let me tell you what, if you get Malachi Starks and you get Kyle Hamilton playing your safety position, fuck. They'll have the two best safeties in 3 years in the NFL. Could be some of the best safeties ever to play as a duo. When you talk about the Stewart kid, here, let me go back. And here, I'll give you my assessment on him. And then I'll give you Malachi Starks's. This is an email I sent to Clint. Big kid, 6'6", 290. 1.5 sacks and 6 tackles for loss in 2024. He has 3 sacks in the last 25 games. That's less than Jordan Davis. I mean, his size is impressive. He's got a good first step. Could play DT or defensive end. He has no pass rushing idea what he's doing yet. And here's the problem that I have. He wins with athleticism. And he wins with his size. What does that tell? What's the red flag there with Shamar Stewart? He has no technique. Now, here's my problem. So you're going to come into the NFL and you don't have technique and you're not ready to play and you're a first rounder? Fuck that. I want ready-made players in the first round. You want to take Jalix Hunt in the third and develop the kid and bring the guy along and coach him? That's a great pick. It's turning out to be. I was wrong. But if you want to take a guy who's a project at 32, why? You need to replace people. I mean, and then before I get to Xander here, let me, this is what you say about, and the intangibles you say about Malachi Starks. Highly recruited kid, sensational IQ, amazing tackler. He's a sprinter playing safety. I mean, he has anticipating skills and he sets quarterbacks up numerous times on his game film. You watch him wheel routing back. You know what he'll do? Again, I'm going to try to show you this. Do you know what he'll do? He'll drop back in coverage and do this. He'll let you believe by turning like this, watch. Turning like this and opening his hips, that's the side of the field he goes to. You know what he does then? He completely does a wheel and runs to the anticipating spot, setting the quarterback up, knowing you're going to your second option and your second landmark. He's doing that shit in college. He's going to be a fabulous football player. And you're going to take a guy with 1.5 sacks in 25 games. No way. Not me. Not happening. No how. That ain't happening for me. All right. I like product. Hey, Jordan Davis had 9 sacks in 4 years at Georgia. What did I tell you? What was the number one issue I had? He's not very productive. He's just not. All right. That boy's been working his ass off, man. Oh, hey, I got to tell you, really awesome here, man. Xander's sister, and I think this is the one that was at the parade, right? Was this the one at the parade, Brittany? No, it's not. All right. Well, geez, we got media people everywhere. Without further ado, the media mogul, our friend Big Z, Xander Kraus, joins us now. How you doing?
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
Holy cow, man. You got like media. You got people, media all over the family, man. You got them everywhere now. So Brittany went to school with Dan Morgan, huh?
Yeah, man. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. All my pops' kids are, in one way or another, are media savvy. So now my sister, for those who don't know, my oldest sister, Brittany, that's the sister. I was just at her place in Florida for her son's baptism, my godson. She went to the University of Florida. Gator bait, Sileo. She'll give you the gator bait. But she went to school with Dan when Dan was there. They knew each other well. So she mentioned to me, hey, you got Morgan on the show. So she said, say hi to Dan for me. So pretty cool. But yeah, she back when she was at the University of Florida, she worked sideline for the team. That's how she knew Tim Tebow. She knew all those guys because she was at school when Tim Tebow was there. She was excellent. Now, she took it a little bit of a different career path, but she would have been tremendous in sports.
She worked around with Urban Meyer then, huh?
Yeah, right. All that time. Yep. So pretty crazy. She probably has some good stories, but yeah, she's tremendous, and she's working now with Lockheed Martin. So wow. She's crushing it. But yeah, she knows Dan, so you got to reach out to Dan and tell him.
That's really dope, man. All right, Xander. So let me propose something here to you.
All right, let's hear it.
I'm going to give you the 32nd pick, the 64th pick, the 96th pick, the 134th pick.
That's a lot of picks.
To move up to the Giants or the Browns to either draft Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter.
I don't want Travis Hunter. Give me Abdul. I'm doing it. That's a lot of picks, though, brother.
What do you think of the draft? What do you think of the draft?
I think the draft is in no man's land after the first five. I think Cam Ward's an obvious top 5. You could argue maybe he's not that good of a player, but obviously the draft board's going to put him up there. I think Abdul's probably the best player in the draft, in my opinion. I think Travis Hunter's going to be a lights-out cornerback. I don't see it at wide receiver. I just don't. I mean, I was watching his pro day. I mean, routes aren't smooth. I just think he's one of those guys that, you know how some people, and actually you were probably this, you're so dominant at college. It's almost easy. It's not easy, but you're that much better than everybody. I think that's why he was so damn good at receiver in college. I think he's going to be a true cornerback one. I'm not saying he's not going to be a cornerback one. I think he's going to be an excellent cornerback, but he's obviously a top 5 guy. And then you're kind of in, Mason Graham's up there. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple guys I think that are up there, but they're not as clear-cut top guys as the other guys. And that's where I think the draft gets really interesting. Now, full disclosure, I don't think the Eagles are going to do what you said at all. No. Yeah, I mean, I think they need some of those picks. But if you're telling me we could get Abdul Carter, I do think that checks arguably the biggest box on the team moving forward in an edge rusher, right? A dominant edge rusher in that. So I would do it, but I don't think it's really plausible.
But here's to your point, what you said. In college, my first move, I could dominate and I killed guys.
Yeah, I heard you saying
first
that earlier.
move.
Yeah.
The problem is, this is what Travis is going to line up on. He gets drafted by the Giants, and he's got to go against A.J. Brown twice. Hoss, you better bring your miner's cap in a lunch pail because you're going to work against that guy. That guy's going to show you what you don't know about the NFL. Hey, Xander, playing against wide receivers and DBs in the Big 12 versus the big boys, that's a whole different world when you're lining up on A.J. Brown, who his first 5 years in the league, his number one job was knocking guys out in the secondary for Derrick Henry. I mean, that was his job, knocking guys out.
Right.
Bro, the problem that you see with a lot of these kids, especially interior, the defensive tackles, they're limited on second moves because of what you said. They're so dominant that their techniques are not refined yet. You get a guy who's got great techniques like this guy, Malachi. Dude.
Yeah, I hear you. You're high on him, huh? You like him a lot.
Boy, I'll tell you, I watch him and I see Ed Reed intangibles. Setting quarterback.
He's a good player, man. He is a good player. There's no doubt about it. Now, the reason I've kind of ruled him out is just because I don't think the Eagles are going to go there. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I just don't think the Eagles are going to go there. They've never, historically valued that position. I mean, even look right now, they just let Gardner Johnson walk for $10 million, and they have an undrafted free agent on an undrafted restricted deal right now in Reed Blankenship. Now, maybe they're going to pay him. I'm just saying that's kind of been their approach to safety. That doesn't mean they haven't changed their approach on positions in the past. I do like Malachi, but back to your point of this is where players struggle. That's my fear with a guy like James Pierce. Like if you put on the James Pierce tape, he dominates players. He moves right around him, but he doesn't have great technique. He doesn't have the form that you would need that when you do get shut down, as you alluded to, what's that second move look like? What are you going to do to get creative to continue to win in the NFL? That's my concern with him. I think he's just better than everybody right now. And without technique, he's dominated. So I still think he's going to be a really good player. James Pierce he'd probably be my dream pick if you stick around where you are right now.
That's right.
That's probably my dream pick if you stick around where you are. Now, I like Walter Nolan a little bit more than you. If you remember, Walter Nolan was at Texas A&M before Ole Miss. I didn't love the way they used him at Texas A&M. I thought he flourished a little bit better at Ole Miss. I could see him being a good player next to Jalen Carter. You talked about that second move. I agree, but if you take him first, you're not even asking him to be the best defensive tackle on your team. Right, you go to another team in the league, you're probably looking at, hey, man, Walter, I need you to dominate the interior. You have Jalen Carter. You have him. So that's going to make Walter's life a lot easier here where I think he could have some time to develop and build on that first move, like you said. But he would be another guy that I'd be really happy with late in the first round.
Here's you've got to define what you're drafting him for then. Are you drafting him to replace Jordan Davis, or are you drafting him to win a spot? Because I think the further away from the center he is, I think he's limited. I don't think he could play a 3 technique. I think he's more of a guy that's going to be closer on the ball in a 2, where Jordan, or where you can line him up, head up over the center. Like, do I think that guy could beat Moro Jomo out? I don't know. Is he better? Walter Nolan, do you really want him to be your replacement at DT so that you don't have to give a contract extension, but pick up the 5th-year option on him where you get Jordan for you got to determine, what do you see him 3 years or 2 years down the line now? Is he the replacement? Now, look, he doesn't have a superstar first step, but what he does have is that he's quick. He's powerful. He's somewhat productive in there. He's way more productive than anything that Lazy Smith was at Michigan. And I just, again, where you're going to struggle in replacing Milton Williams, and I'll say it again, 7.53. You could go all the way from a 7 technique with Milton down to the nose. That's worth $1 billion to me, dude.
So here's my big question with this. What do the Eagles want? And I should really clarify that and say, what does Vic Fangio want? Because here's my gripe, all right? And me and John have been talking about this extensively with Jordan Davis, and you and I have talked about it a lot as well. It's a catch-22. If you want Jordan Davis to play more, that probably means you have to get worse on first down because they have him as the run stopper. That means ultimately he's playing a lot of 5-man front. But that's not my question with this. My question is, and you heard Bruce Arians talk about it in an interview the other day, would Vic rather have a 4-man front that he can use on first down that's effective against the run, then have a guy like Jordan Davis and you rotate on 2nd and 3rd down on the passing down? I think Vic would prefer to have a 4-man front, but they have to be competent in stopping the run. They were not last year in the four-man front, which is why Jordan Davis became so important in this defense. Now, the one thing that will not change is you have to be able to stop the run. So if you want to do it in a four-man front, you got to have two great tackles, not one. You got to have two great tackles. Walter Nolan, could he improve you in that? And then once you see that, I think it makes it a lot easier to move off of Jordan Davis. But you're not moving off of Jordan Davis if you get a pass rush specialist at defensive tackle. If you get a Javon Hargrave or a younger version of Javon Hargrave, you're going to be in the same boat, right? So that's my biggest question on the defensive tackles is, what does Vic want? Does he want to stop the run with four-man front? Then you got to find a versatile DT to fit that role. And then you can say, okay, goodbye, Jordan Davis. We'll move on from you. We got a more versatile player. Now, I don't know if they're going to go down that road. I think the question does come from, what does Vic want? Maybe Vic is like, no, I want the five-man front early. I'd rather rotate the defensive tackles on second and third down and get the five-man front in there and stop the run like we did last year. But I did think it was interesting what Arian said about, hey, you can say our secondary, our defense looks great all the time, but if our front four is not doing what they need to do, this defense is a pile of shit. It's not going to work. It just doesn't work without a front four. So I thought that was pretty interesting, but it would all come down to me to what Vic wants to do or what his ideal scenario is on that defensive front.
There's two areas there. The more you get put in a position where you don't have to substitute for third down and you can keep your same personnel in, that gives you more latitude on being able to play your guys every down. I'm looking for every down guys. Why? Because of the substitute packages that offenses force you into. The one thing that I don't want to get is caught out there with Jordan Davis in 3rd and 8, and I didn't get it out there in time because they're going up-tempo offense, and that's how you keep the defense on their heels, is because you go up-tempo and you got to stick out there with Jordan Davis because you can't substitute in. I want to be able to have same personnel out there.
Right.
Wasn't that one of the key factors in the Super Bowl? Was that you won a success rate with 4 dudes.
Yep.
There was very little substituting in that football game, especially even in the NFC title game. You were limited in the substitutes, but those guys were getting home.
Yeah.
I don't want to have specialists. This is why Bryce Huff couldn't get on the field.
Yeah. It's also a taste of our own medicine, Sills. It's what the Eagles offense did so much last year. Up tempo, no rotation, right. Prey on the defense. That's what we did. So
how do you think you beat the Rams? You know how you beat the Rams? You keep the Rams and personnel on the sidelines, not letting them get into third down guys and getting in the nickel package, and you keep running the ball at them.
You neutralize their pass rush. That's exactly what the Eagles did.
That's right. That's how they took out. Now the Rams in the second time in the playoffs, they were smarter than that, and that's why that game was a little bit closer, because they were able to get nickel packages in. They did it on second down, if you remember right, on that kid Chris Shula. They were able to get what they needed on. But again, I don't want to have substitute guys. I want to have guys who can play 3 downs. That's the key to this whole thing, is third down guys. Now here, to go with what you said here, do I think Walter Nolan can beat out Jordan Davis? Because you made a comment, and I made it yesterday. I'm not sacrificing the run defense for 2 sacks. That's not happening. I have no interest in that. I mean, to move off of Jordan Davis because the guy gives me 2 more sacks and I'm lesser in the run defense, that's not working for me. I'm not going to substitute that. Now, if you're giving me a guy like Sills, would you rather have Javon Hargrave or would you rather have Jordan Davis? I'd rather have Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis is going to help me on first and second down, keep me in third and short. That's the key to that whole thing. I mean, Javon Hargrave's not a better ball player. He's just a better pass rusher.
Right.
But that doesn't mean he's a better and more complete player. Like Walter Nolan and me can't beat Jordan Davis out. Shamar Stewart, is he a better No. Jordan Davis is a better athlete than this guy, and he's as productive. Why would I want to move off that? Now, unless you want to move him, and you're saying that Stewart is the replacement for him because they're comparable when it comes to production in college, and you see the same guy, but he's cheaper on a rookie deal, that's like you said.
Right.
That's what Howie would want, and that's what Vic would want. The kid Kenneth Grant, 6'3", 330, 340. Can that guy beat out Jordan Davis? Probably. Now
So
again,
you're gonna need a versatile defensive tackle if you want to move off of Jordan Davis, because
that's
or else
right.
you're gonna be in no man's land with the run, and then you're gonna have to commit one way or the other. You need a versatile guy. And now here's where the Eagles are in a position of power. Jordan Davis is under contract next year. Now, the 5th-year option is a whole nother deal, but let's say you draft.
I'm okay with that 5th year at 12 and a half.
But hear me out. Let's say you draft a defensive tackle this year. You have a chance to see what you have in the player while keeping Jordan Davis. So if the player isn't as good against the run, you still have that option, and then you can see what you have. If you look at the young player and you're like, okay, he's not ready yet for every down, but this guy clearly is what we want in terms of stopping the run and being able to get after the passer, then it makes your decision on Jordan Davis a whole lot easier and your contract extension a whole lot easier as well, while also still having 2 years of him if you need him. But Jordan Davis is going to have to, I don't want to say he's got to be more, because I don't think they want him to be more. Like I said to you earlier in the summer.
That's why they moved him in on the nose. They moved him in on the nose.
Right.
They made him do less.
I said to you earlier in the summer, I'm like, I want to see him be more 3 technique. And John's like, why the hell do you want to see him be a 3 technique? He's not going to be good. So maybe my assumption of I want Jordan to be more versatile is the wrong one. And the solution would be get a guy that's more versatile, and then it makes Jordan Davis more expendable. Because right now, even with Jordan Davis's limitations, he's technically not expendable, because our defense wouldn't work if they couldn't stop the run.
You think Zach Bond's the same player if Davis is not in there? I don't.
Tough to say, because Zach Bond was excellent on every down.
Because of the 2 guys in front of him.
Because of Carter and Davis. I agree with that. Yeah. But if you take Davis off, I think Bond can still be competent. I mean, he was pretty damn good in passing down Sills when Jordan Davis was nowhere to be found.
Running the ball at you.
Well, you're going to have some guys in front of you, but you're still going to have Jalen Carter.
Dude, linebacker play is predicated on the guys in front of you. I know
that. I'm just saying.
Fred Warner and have guys that, if you had 2 Javon Hargraves and you had N'Kobe Dean and you had Zach Bond and you had 2 Javon Hargraves this past season, those guys are getting murdered.
Yeah.
Because here, they're getting blown off the ball. Remember something here. When you're playing D-tackle, these 2 guys did one thing that was essential in success. You know what that was? Those guys' abilities to be able to control the line of scrimmage and not lose the line of scrimmage was allowing those linebackers to scrape down the line of scrimmage, back and forth, being able to play in space. When you're getting knocked back off the ball like this, Andrew, the line of scrimmage gets moved a line and a half more. That means your scrape routes, you have to bow your scrape routes. That creates a bigger zone. That means the safeties have to play higher up. Dude, the key to the Vic Fangio defense was the linebacker play in space and those 2 guys in the middle. That's why I say with Jordan Davis, I know, listen, I sound like I contradict myself every week with this guy because it's a tough call.
Well, it is. I agree with you. I'm contradicting myself on him every week too. And I think most people are. You look at him, you see obviously the talent, the size, the versatility, but he is what he is. And, that's why I think my initial comment is true in terms of what does Vic want? Would Vic prefer to get home with or be able to stop the run with 4? Maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he's like, no, I want 5-man front on first down because, like you just said, that allows Zach Bond to be great. That allows our pass rushers to be fresh on 2nd and 3rd down. Maybe he prefers that. But that's what it comes down to, because if it's not that and he'd rather stop the run with 4 and, as you said, be more versatile or more capable if you're versing an up-tempo offense. Remember, Jaden Daniels is in the division now. He's probably going to run a lot of up-tempo offense as he grows in his pro career. So, it all depends on what Vic wants, I think. If he wants to stop that front with the 4-man front, I think they're going to draft a defensive tackle first. If not, I think Jordan Davis is going to get the contract extension.
Well, let me ask you this then. And is there a guy in the draft that you're high on?
There's plenty. I mean, there's plenty. There's nobody I'm head over heels on. I mean, even Abdul Carter. I love him. I think he's got tremendous skills. He's small, undersized. I mean, that's the truth. Put that guy up against Lane Johnson. What's he going to do? I want a guy that's going to – I want a guy, that if you're talking about number 2 overall, number 3 overall, blue chip edge rusher, I don't really picture Abdul Carter. And that's not a knock on the player. It's just not exactly what I picture as a blue chip edge rusher, and a little bit of an undersized guy. But I love him. I like Travis Hunter as a corner. I'm sorry, I'm not buying this dual position gimmick thing. I go to cornerback, bro. You could be the best cornerback in the league. I truly believe that. But just got to stick to it. So I like him. I do like Nolan. I kind of understand where you're coming from with Nolan, but I thought when he jumped to Ole Miss, you saw a lot better of a player. Texas A&M. You brought it up earlier. Who are the defensive tackles that are coming out of Texas A&M right now? Aren't there a couple?
No,
It's
dude,
Jimbo.
They got the inside guy and the outside guy, the scouting kid.
Yeah.
Next scouting kid, the Stewart kid. They got this other guy.
You see the same problem.
Fisher did a great job of recruiting. They just didn't coach him up.
They're not using him right. It's exactly why Walter Nolan left that place. So, I mean, look, there is some good guys out there. I like that Emin Warrior a little bit. I will say he is not as good as people are chalking him up to be. Like they're posting all the tape of him looking amazing. There's a lot of plays where Nick Emin Warrior head was spinning. And I'm not saying that that's he's not going to be a good player because of that, but it's not all perfect, with that. So I like him. I like Starks. I thought Starks was a good one. Nolan is good, but down at 32 Sills, you're really in la land a little bit there where you can go up, you can go down, a lot of similar players in there. So now Keith brings up a good point just because he won't beat Lane Johnson. Keith, I'm more saying Abdul's a little smaller than I'd like for a blue chip edge, but I do think he's an amazing player. He's my top rated guy in the whole draft. So I don't want to act like I'm shitting on him, but I would like a little bit more size out of him. That would be my one knock on him.
But what I'll say is this. If he can't beat Lane, that means he's going against Lane in practice every week.
Which will help him.
He can't beat Lane every week, but he's going to line up against lesser players. He might be a star over that because of the competition that you have in pass rush drills. Because when you have the preeminent guy in your huddle and you're going against that guy, I think that's one of the reasons why that Cooper DeJean and that Quinyon Mitchell had great success a year ago because of Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown.
Right.
You're practicing against those guys every week, every day. Come on, man. You get better. That's how you get better, is that way. All right. What do you make of the Eagles now? What do you make of the Eagles not bringing in a tight end to take a look at?
I'm wondering if this is major gamesmanship and they're really any tight end that comes in. I'm wondering if they're saying we do not want this out because, remember, they're also
aren't they telegraphing it, though? Aren't they telegraphing it that way also? That if you're an opposing team, guessing on what you're doing, you got Goddard on the market.
Right.
Multiple teams have called.
You're going to lose leverage if you tip your hand. That's my thing. Like there's nine visits left at Sills that we don't know. We know 21 out of 30 so far. We have 0 tight ends. Is that the Eagles working their ass off to not leak out the tight ends because they want to maintain leverage in any sort of Dallas Goedert talks? Potentially. I mean, I could see that. That's completely plausible to me. So, I'm not really sold that they haven't had a tight end in. We don't know it. I can continue to talk about it on Birds 365 because there's been no reports of it. If you listen to the owner and the GM at the owners meeting last week, boy, they clumped Dallas Goedert in with CJ Gardner-Johnson like he was gone. So I don't think he's going to be back, but I do think they're trying to hold as much leverage as they can with it. But Sills, even if they bring Goddard back, what are we doing here? We need a tight end in the room. This is why we can't move on from Goddard now. Now, the other line of thinking I'm starting to see a little bit more is people are starting to talk themselves into that they believe Grant Calcaterra can be just fine. Now, Grant Calcaterra is a good pass catcher, but he struggles in blocking. Now, if you look at the grade, he wasn't quite as bad as people thought he was last year, but he's certainly no Dallas Goedert. I'm not really in on Grant Calcaterra being the top tight end, but there is a line of thinking that exists that he can be that guy. I don't see it, but maybe the Eagles think that, and that's why they're not preparing a contingency plan.
Okay. Do you want me to tell you a little insight about your tight end theory?
There, let's go.
Brian Baldinger was down at Miami Pro Day.
Yep.
3 Eagle scouts were working out the tight end, Elijah Aurora.
Yeah.
So just because they're not bringing players in doesn't mean they're not doing their due diligence with their area scouts and guys flying into Bowling Green or guys flying into Michigan or guys flying into places where they're going to be able to work out guys.
This is probably my favorite tight end option because I don't think
Jason
Loveland
Taylor's son at LSU.
Yeah, I don't think Loveland or Warren are an option. And I think you can get Mason Taylor in the 3rd round. So if you can get him in the 3rd round, I'm jumping all over that. I like that player. But yeah, I mean, they're definitely doing their due diligence. That's for sure.
Well, here's a little more about Mason. Mason went to St. Thomas Aquinas. He was a highly recruited kid. Obviously, Jason Taylor's son, a Hall of Fame NFL player. He's a defensive line coach. By the way, I've had conversations about his boy. He's the D-line coach down at the University of Miami. And I asked him about him. He goes, yeah, the Eagles have reached out to him. You know who's representing him? Drew Rosenhaus. So they know and they've worked him out. Just because they're not in the building, Xander, they're out in the team pro days. They were up at Michigan working the Loveland kid out. So they're doing their work. And I think what they're also doing is, like you said, I mean, look at the contract that the Arizona tight end signed. And, you know, I wrote these down because I heard you and John talking about the best running backs. And I came up with the best quarterbacks in the game, wide receivers, running backs. It was running back. And I put tight ends. Here are my top 10 tight ends in the NFL right now. Brock Bowers is number 1. He is a phenomenal football player. And I can't even tell you who the quarterbacks were last year, and he had 100 catches.
Yeah, I don't even know either. I'm not going to lie.
Now, some of you could say, Sills, aren't they shit yards because of the Raiders? Yeah, probably so. But he's their only option on what they're doing. He had Aiden O'Connell, and he had Gardner Minshew as his quarterbacks a year ago, and he broke both records that stood since 1963. Come on, man. I think that kid McBride from Arizona is the second best tight end in the game. I really like this kid here, Trey McBride.
Yeah, he's good.
I got Kittle 3. I don't like the injuries. I think he's wearing out a little bit. The guy up in Detroit, that Sam Laporte.
Yeah, he's great.
Number 3.
I like the way he plays. He plays big-bodied. He plays like a bully. I like that.
Yep. I've got TJ Hawkinson from Minnesota. I got him there. I got Kelsey at 7. That may be too high, but I got him there at 7. I've got the kid Evan Ingram from Denver. I've got him at 8.
What?
Yeah, he's a pretty good player, man. You see him play last year?
I've never been a fan of his. I'm sorry. I never was a fan of his in New York. I didn't like him in Jacksonville. I'm not a huge fan. So I'd have him a little, like I have Goddard above him for sure.
9, I got David Njoku from Cleveland.
Njoku.
Yep. Miami kid. And number 10, I got Dallas Goedert. Those are my 10 best tight ends. You can probably
That's not bad. I like this guy. I like Freiermuth on there. He's pretty good in Pittsburgh. I like him. There's a couple other guys. The only one I don't like.
I don't hate the guy in Dallas. That kid Ferguson. I don't hate him either.
He doesn't move the needle for me.
No, but he was their number 2 option there. I mean, he could be a better ball player if they get a number 2. But my point is that you're right on Goddard. So if you're going to move off of Goddard, if you move off of Goddard and you go to Calcaterra, bro, I got
a couple. Did you leave Mark? Did you have Mark Andrews on there?
Oh, I'm sorry. I did. I had Mark Andrews at number 5.
Okay. You jumped to 6. All right. So you had Andrews at 5.
Yeah, I got Andrews. I got Andrews at 5.
I like Hawk. I like Laporta. I mean, I have McBride a little bit lower than you. I have Kyle Pitts probably around 10, 11, maybe a little lower than that. And then I have Ingram probably right there, 11 or 12, somewhere in that range.
Since you guys hit that running back, I'm going to hit it. Here's my top 10 running backs in the NFL.
All right, let's hear it.
I got Henry 1. I got Barkley 2. I got Bijan 3. I got Gibbs. Boy, you were right on with fucking Gibbs.
I knew that.
I did not think he was that good at Bama.
I knew it. He was one of my favorite fucking players to watch at Alabama. And that kid was insane in college, man. He was so good.
He is good.
He runs in the NFL like he did in college. It's one of those rare players that it looks like it did in college. I mean, that's impressive to do. He's a very good player.
I got Jonathan Taylor 5. I've got Josh Jacobs 6. I got Kyron Williams from the Rams 7. I got James Cook from the Bills 8. I got Aaron Jones, Vikings 9. And I'm always going to be an Alvin Kamara guy.
Yeah,
I got
I like
Kamara
Alvin.
10 because he could do both, you know? And the only reason that I've got Derrick Henry above Saquon Barkley, he does it every year.
Yeah,
Every
that's fair.
freaking year.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to give you my ranking, and my ranking is more on last year. Like I have Saquon 1, but if you want to factor in career, let's be real here. Derrick Henry's, going to the Hall of Fame. He is an insanely good running back. So I have no issue with him putting him at 1. I got Saquon 1. I got Henry 2. I have Jahmyr Gibbs at 3. I just think the versatility of him as a player is remarkable.
Over Bijan, huh?
Over Bijan. I got Bijan 4. And then 5, I think you could probably go Jacobs. I'm not as high on him, but I do like Josh Jacobs a lot. And then I like a couple of the other guys you threw in there as well. Alvin Kamara. Jonathan Taylor. He fell off a little bit. Remember when Jonathan Taylor really lit the league on fire a few years back? I remember when he won the Maxwell Award.
Ricky Yeary did it.
Yeah, he dominated, man, early. I remember that. He won the Maxwell, and I presented him that award. So I remember that. I met him. He's a pretty cool dude. A couple other good ones. But
Cooks is getting better, too, in Buffalo.
Yeah, James Cook. Yeah, he's great. I like James Cook a lot. I have him pretty high. Kyron Williams is a good one. He's a sleeper as well. Hey, here's a sleeper. How about that kid in Tampa Bay, Bucky Irving?
Yep.
I really
debated on keeping him off because
he was a rookie last year still.
Yeah. He shocked me a little bit.
He had, I think, almost 400 receiving yards. He had like 1,200 rushing yards. Like that kid was pretty damn good for a rookie, dude.
You bet he can play, man. Here's my top 10 receivers.
Oh, I like this. Let's hear it.
I got Justin Jefferson 1. I got Jamar Chase 2. I've got A.J. Brown 3. I've got CeeDee Lamb 4. I got Puka Nacua 5. I've got Amon-Ra St. Brown 6. I got Terry McLaurin 7. I got Mike Evans 8. I got Tyreek Hill 9. And I got Devontae Adams 10. Those are my 10 guys.
That's pretty good. Give me your top 4 again. You have Jefferson,
Chase, Brown, CD. Those are my top 4 guys. And my 5th one is Puka Nacua.
Yeah, Puka is really good. There's one guy you left off I'd probably put in there. I'm a fan of that Amon-Ra St. Brown from Detroit. I didn't know. Did you have him on your list or he didn't make it?
Yeah, I got him 6th.
Okay, you got him 6th. All right, so I didn't hear that. I'd go Chase 1. Okay, I prefer Chase over Jefferson. Just a preference thing. Not saying Jefferson's not a great player. I just prefer a little bit of a, I like Jamar's style a little bit more physical of a player. Kind of reminds me of A.J. Brown, almost a little bit more polished A.J. Brown. I'd put Jefferson 2. I'd put Brown 3. I would put, 4. CD. I think CD's right at 4. I think you're right about that with CeeDee Lamb. Then I'd probably go 5, Amon-Ra St. Brown. 6, I'd probably go Puka Nacua. 7.
I got McLaurin there.
Yeah, I like that. How about Mike Evans?
I got Evans at 8, but okay. I think
Mike
these guys are all preference, like you say.
Give me Tyreek Hill at 8. Give me McLaurin at 9. Give me Smitty at 10.
Wow. Okay. Over Devontae Adams, you think he's a better player?
I think at this point of his career, I do. Not a knock on Devontae because I was a big Devontae Adams fan. But I think at this point in his career, Devontae's –
I think what's happened to Devontae Adams, he chased the money bag instead of chasing his legacy.
Yeah, I think he kind of –
the places that he's gone have all been horrible quarterbacks.
Yeah. When he signed that deal in Vegas a couple years ago, let's be real, that was stupid. That was stupid.
We'll get to all your supers, guys. Do me a favor, please hit the like button. I did my quarterbacks.
All right, let's do it.
I got Allen 1. I got Mahomes 2. I got Burrow 3. I got Lamar 4. I got Hurts 5. I got Jaden Daniels 6. got Stafford 7. I got Justin Herbert 8. I got Mayfield 9. And I got Jared Goff 10.
Your top 5, no problem with that. I'd put Hurts a little higher because obviously I'm an Eagles guy. I think his success, but I understand people who are going off talent. And I have no issue with Hurts at 5 at all. I think that's fair. You look at the top 4 guys. Let's be real. Lamar Jackson's a generational talent. You've never seen anything like this guy in the NFL. Joe Burrow is one of the best throwers of the football in the modern game. That we've seen maybe since Aaron Rodgers. I know Aaron Rodgers is still playing, but Joe has that level of throwing ability. Josh Allen's obviously a unicorn, and Mahomes' resume speaks for itself. So I'd probably go Mahomes 1, Allen 2, Hurts 3, Burrow 4, simply because of the success of Eagles. Now, I do think if Burrow was in a different situation, he'd have a lot more success. 5, I got Lamar. 6, I'd probably go.
I got Daniels there.
Yeah. Do I go Jared Goff over Daniels? Do I go Matthew Stafford over Daniels? He's probably fallen off a little bit. I still have Stafford as a top 10 guy.
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Stafford's still got to be top 10. I think Daniels at 6 is okay. Give me Jared Goff at 7. No, give me Stafford at 7. Give me Goff at 8. Give me round out your top. Give me
6 to 10 is Daniels at 6.
I got Baker somewhere in there.
I got 7 is Stafford. I got 8 Herbert. I got 9 Mayfield. I got 10 Goff.
Okay. So I'd have Baker in there. I'd have Herbert in there. And then one more. Did I put Jaden in at 7?
Yeah. You put Jaden.
Jaden at 7, Herbert at 8, Mayfield at 9, and 10, I'd probably round it out with who am I missing? Am I missing somebody?
No.
I'm doing this off the top of my head, so I apologize if I'm missing them.
Yeah. I know you are. Here's my 10 again. I did Allen 1, Mahomes 2, Burrow 3, Lamar 4, Hurts 5. Hurts will never be out of my top 5. Daniel 6, Stafford 7, Herbert 8, Mayfield 9, and Goff 10.
That's good. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna drop in. All right, Eagles fans are gonna get mad at me on this. I'm debating between 2 guys on 10. I'm debating between C.J. Stroud and Dak Prescott. Here's the problem: Dak's got to stay healthy because he's become an injury merchant where he's missing so many games. But when Dak is in and on his game, he's a talented guy. I don't think people give him enough credit, and especially in Eagle land. That guy can throw the damn ball. But I think Stroud's a better, more rounded player.
I think he's a better player too, Stroud.
Yeah, I'll put Stroud at 10. I'll put Dak at 11.
I think he's a better player. And here's why. Everyone, including you, said he took a step back. He still got his team to the playoffs. And you got to remember what that thing came from. All the chaos they went through with Sean Watson down there. And that thing, David Culley ended up losing his job. They hired DeMeco Ryans. The organization was going through ownership from the dad to the son. There was chaos in that building, and he kind of calmed the waters there. In some ways, he went into Houston and calmed the waters the same way Burrow went into Cincinnati and calmed the waters.
And here's the thing about Stroud versus Burrow. Stroud's got a much better support system with that general manager, Nick Caserio, down there in Houston, and that owner spending a lot more money. Joe Burrow's got to get the fuck out of Cincinnati. Let's be real. I'm going to take my Eagles fandom, put it on the shelf. I'm a fan of football. I want to see Joe Burrow in a better place. I'm sorry. This Cincinnati whole, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen, by the way. He's probably going to play in Cincinnati forever, but why the hell do we have one of the best quarterbacks in the world playing in Cincinnati when they can't field a good team around them? They just don't. So I'd like to see him get the heck out of there, but unfortunate.
Couple more here for you because this one it bugged me today a little bit. So prior to me preparing my show, by the way, all supers will be read here in a second. Guys, do me a favor, hit the like button. My wife gets a call from USA Today. This guy's name is Josh Peter. He's a reporter. he calls me and he goes, "You're being very critical of Shedeur Sanders. Why?" And I said, "Well, you want my take? Here's my take." He goes, "No, but you've been kind of critical about him since 2023. And he goes, then his next question was, "Have you gotten any backlash for that?" And I went, "Was that have to do with my take on him playing football at Colorado?" And so I'm like, and I told him, I said, "Well, here's a prime example. Your question you're asking me is exactly what's wrong with the evaluation of the kid. If his last name was yours, he's a 3rd-round pick." Okay? Oh,
I don't disagree with that part. I like Shedeur. I'm higher on him than most, but I don't disagree with you.
Okay, but because he's like Bronny James, there's going to be more scrutiny on him, and I understand that. And get this, though. Welcome to the big leagues. This is what this is. Eli Manning and Peyton Manning had to deal with this the same way. Their father was an MVP. That doesn't give you a clear ticket to being a star because your dad's Deion. Deion's going to improve Colorado whether Shedeur's there or not, because that's who Deion is. If somebody tells me you don't think Colorado's going to win 10 or 11 games this year, I think they are. I think they're going to actually be better this year because why? They improved the O-line and D-lines.
Who they got a quarterback this year?
I think they have another transfer kid coming in. And so I told the guy his best bet, and tell me if you agree. Maybe I'm wrong here. I said his best bet is that he plummets in the draft and he goes to Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin grabs his ass, and where he gets a great organization. And he goes, "Well, then you're saying he's not really a bust." I go, "Well, you think Sam Darnold's a bust? You think Baker Mayfield's a bust? These guys are on 4 teams."
Yeah.
You know what a great player is? You know what a transcendent player is? Joe Burrow going into Cincinnati and changing the fortunes of that franchise. Josh Allen going into Buffalo and changing the fortunes of the Buffalo Bills. Guys go in places and change the landscape of a team. Not are on their 4th team in 3 years. I mean, you quantify what a bust is. I just think that the media, they're playing more into that he's Deion's kid, where that has nothing to do with whether or not the kid's going to make it. That has nothing to do with it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, where every time it's like you used to say this about Jalen Hurts, and to your credit, it's consistency by you. I mean, you used to say, "Why do you keep telling me about his intangibles? I want to hear about what he does on the field." And I think that's a fair way to look at it, by the way. I mean, if you lead with that, then it does tell you what you think of the player. And there is a lot of people leading with the whole Deion thing, but I'm much higher on Shedeur than you. I am. I mean, I don't think he's number 1 overall. I don't think he's a transcendent talent at the position. I don't think he's Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams that was there last year, but I think he's much better than a 3rd-round pick. I think he deserves a lot of credit for what Colorado did. Deion's dope. Deion's not playing the games, all right? And Deion didn't have an offensive line for Shedeur last year, and he did pretty damn good with that Colorado team. So the other thing I like about Shedeur is he's a pro-style offense quarterback. So if he goes to the right place, and this is where I agree with you, I think falling for him would benefit him more, because if I'm Shedeur, yeah, you want to be drafted high to make that extra bucks and obviously, put that on your resume that you were drafted top 5 or top 10 or whatever. But do I really want to play in Cleveland? Do I really want to play in New York? Do I really want to play in for the Raiders? I don't know. I mean, I know people want to be drafted, but if I'm him, I'm like, bro, I'd go to Mike Tomlin. Are you kidding me? That's stability. That's a great organization. That's a team that's going to value the trenches around me. They already have a good offensive line in Pittsburgh. I mean, you have a period where you can play, you can maybe work them in and kind of let them develop a little bit. I like Pittsburgh a lot for him, but the one thing I will say is I'm a little higher on him than you as a player. I think he's going to be competent.
Can I tell you the best quarterback in the draft is?
Can I guess first?
What?
Can I guess first?
Yeah.
The best quarterback in the draft. Are you saying the most talented thrower, just overall quarterback, best quarterback?
I'm saying I'll fill it in. Who do you think I think is the best quarterback?
I tried to get you there. I could come up with
I know you did. Who do you think I'm going to pick as the best quarterback in the draft? Who has the best chance of being successful?
You can't be going Jackson Dart on me, can you? Are you going to go a guy that's not even being talked about in like a Dylan Gabriel?
Can I tell you who?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. What's the one intangible you tell me about your boy Jalen Hurts all the time? He's a what?
A fucking winner, baby.
Okay. So let me draft Will Howard in the 4th round, 3rd round.
I do not dislike this.
Let me draft Will Howard in the 3rd or 4th round. And you know what? Went to a program where you have high. And Joe Burrow couldn't win a job at Ohio State with pressure at that place. You have massive pressure to play. You won a national championship. You've had ups and downs. You were looked at as a fiend after losing to Michigan. You've never, the heat you took, even though you won a national title. What happened? Like Hurts, having his job taken from him, having people think you're not very good. What did he do? He goes in the playoffs and he wins the national championship, and he's a star every game on the field. I don't have to waste a 1st-round pick. I have a 4th-round pick. I have the kind of story that gives me a Brady-esque kind of story. And what's the number one most important thing that you guys bring up to me every day about an intangible? The guy's a winner. Okay? Does he have the strongest arm? No. Is he the fastest guy? No. Is he the best talented guy? No, but I'll tell you one thing he fucking does. He surely wins. How's that not the ID of Jalen Hurts?
That's fair. That's fair. I like Will.
I don't have to waste a top 3 pick on him.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where this quarterback draft is interesting because, you know, while I don't think Will Howard is the player that Sanders is it a more valuable pick? There's potential for that to be true. If you can get Will Howard in the 3rd or the 4th round, that's probably a better value pick than, you know, maybe reaching on a guy like Shedeur or even Cam. I mean, Cam at 1, I like Cam a lot. I don't think Cam's a number 1 overall pick, but
he's like the 12th pick in the draft, something like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Let's get how this worked out. So when you look at Brock Purdy being a 7th-round pick, if you go back in the last 2 drafts or 3 drafts, you look at Brock Purdy, was that not an amazing pick by the 49ers that you got a 7th-round draft choice? You paid him $900,000 for 3 years, and look what that pick turned out for you versus the Trey Lance pick where you gave up 3 ones for the guy. What was more of a value pick? The Purdy pick was by far your best pick because, as you said, and I agree with you, and this is a great take by you, those 3 first-rounders are now starting to rear its head in San Francisco, and you now see a little bit of the loss. But that's my point on a guy like Howard. If you're telling me that Shedeur will be a good player, and what if Howard turns out to be a good player? The pick was Howard, not Shedeur, because that means I'm paying him 1st-round money. If those guys are the same guy, the Howard pick's better.
Can you imagine this too? Speaking of the Trey Lance move, imagine if they just stuck with Purdy. Okay, what was he, a 7th rounder? He was the last pick in the draft. Is that right, or something like that? All right.
He was the last pick in the draft.
He was Mr. Relevant or whatever it is. Yeah. So imagine if they stuck with him. You have your 3 first-rounders back that you traded, and you also have the pick that you took him at. Well, I guess you moved up to get him there, but still, I mean, you have 3 other. Imagine what their roster would be now with Fred Warner and Brock Purdy, and you know some of the Nick Bosa. I mean, shit, those 3 first-rounders are crazy, bro. So that's crazy what they did there. And what do you think they're going to do, by the way, with Brock? They're going to pay him.
They're going to pay him. They're going to pay him probably somewhere in the $50 million range, I would say. By the way, I want to do one more thing before you on that. What draft was Jalen Hurts drafted in? 2020 draft.
2nd round pick.
I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here, Xander. NFL draft and why this Will Howard thing makes more sense to me than sitting there and okay, so Joe Burrow went 1. Let's take a look at the draft, the quarterbacks.
That was Burrow, Allen, Herbert.
Tua.
They were all that year, weren't they?
Yeah, watch
Tua.
this. Okay. Burrow's a good pick at 1.
Great pick. Come on.
Would you take Tagovailoa or Hurts?
Hurts. Not even
He
close.
was the 5th pick to him.
Yep.
Okay. Let's get another one here.
I think Allen was in that draft.
Would you take Hurts or Jordan Love?
I would take Hurts personally.
I would too.
Yeah.
So get this. Packers at 26 took Jordan Love. Jalen Hurts a 2nd-round pick. Jalen Hurts is a superior pick to Jordan Love. He's a superior pick. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If you're not enamored by this quarterback class, and I don't really think – I really love it because the position is so valued that you can get 4 guys in this draft.
That's where I think you're right on Will Howard. If you're not enamored, then shit, just wait it out. I mean –
wait it out. Go for the winner.
Right. That's not bad. That's not a bad move by you. You know what? I could see a team doing that. I could see like a Saints doing that.
Did you hear what John Gruden said? He's 2.0 Josh Allen.
Oh, really? Did Gruden do his little QB thing with him?
Yeah. He thinks he's got the intent. He thinks he has the same skill sets, not quite as elite, but he has the same skill sets as Josh Allen. I don't know about you,
Allen. He's not Allen sized. I mean, maybe John likes the guy, but that's a little bit of an embellishment in my eyes. Will Howard's Josh Allen 2.0. Are you fucking kidding me? I don't see anything about him that's Josh Allen 2.0. Now, I'm not saying he can't be a good player, but you're talking about a rare breed in Josh Allen. He's like 6'6", runs like a freaking horse, throws the ball like a machine. I mean, come on. Will Howard is Josh Allen 2.0 now? I'm not buying that one, Sileo.
He lost 5 football games. Okay.
I'm not saying he's not a winner. I agree. I'm just saying I think the Josh Allen comp is where I'll draw the line. I don't fucking like that comp.
Yeah, that's what he called. I was like, I think that's a reach, but okay.
Yeah, that's what Gruden said. I'll watch it. I watched what's his name?
Because he calls
was it Riley Leonard? I watched on there. Did he talk to Riley Leonard? I watched somebody on might have been a clip of Will Howard. I'm not even sure who it was.
By the way, I do like that Dylan that you guys were talking about. I'll tell you why. You know the story, right? You know the Gabriel Dillon story.
No.
He started at UCF. He blew his knee out. That's the year they were undefeated.
Oh, is that right?
Blew his knee out, transferred to Oklahoma, and then he went up to Oregon.
Oh.
He's
a Hawaiian dude, right? Dylan Gabriel?
I think so.
I think he's
but I know that guy. I think he was on that 2000 undefeated team for UCF. I know he started his career at UCF. And
he's Hawaiian, that's what I thought.
And he transferred to Oklahoma, and then he went up to Oregon. And he's an older kid, obviously, which is not a bad thing in today's NFL to get. I mean, what are we looking at here? 10. You're looking if you get 10 years out of one of these guys, but he's got a pretty interesting story, dude.
Yeah. Oh, look, and he talked about a winner. He was a winner until that game versus what was it, Penn State? I think it was versus. I mean, he shit the bed in that game, but before that, he was probably the most consistent quarterback in college football. So the thing I hate about him is he's a lefty. So if you're going to use like a 4th-round pick on a guy, like you're not going to flip your team. You know what I mean? Like people don't understand how much goes into that. If you have a lefty quarterback, dude, everything is different. Like Absolutely. Your right tackle is the equivalent of your left tackle. So it's just not. It's not common. If it's one thing if you're going to use the number 5 overall pick like the Dolphins did on Tua. Now I wouldn't have drafted Tua there, but they did, and it's one thing to switch your offense for a guy you believe in that much. A 4th-round pick though, that's tough.
That's why Eagle fans, they always have amnesia when Lane was drafted. Who was the starting quarterback in Philly? Do you remember?
When it was Vic.
It was Vic.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was it because Chip Kelly picked Lane.
So get this. Who was his backside tackle?
Right.
Was right. And they got lucky. That guy turned out to be what he was, and they kept him in his natural spot instead of flipping him to left tackle. They kept Lane at the right tackle position. Remember, he was the blindside protector for Vic.
Yeah, well, the other thing that's interesting about the Lane pick now is the right tackle is more valuable in Philly than a lot of other places because of the way Hurts plays the game, right?
That's
he rolls out to his right a lot. He's a running quarterback. He looks for seams, looks for spots to run the ball. So pretty good pick, obviously, Lane Johnson, Hall of Fame
Let's
player.
get to some of the supers before Philly 500 joins us.
You got 500 coming up. Eric B with $2. No comment. Eric B, if you want to drop a comment, we will read it. Thank you for the $2, brother. Kyle Kokorski. What's up, brother? Love Kyle. He says, Sills and Xander, why do I got this weird feeling that the Patriots draft a wide receiver from Arizona? Not a fan.
Yeah, that Ted McMullen. I think they're gonna if they're smart, they take Travis Hunter up there.
Where do they draft? Where do they? They're number.
I think they're third. I think they're third. I think they'll take Abdul Carter or they'll take Travis Hunter. I'm not passing on. If those guys are in my window, I'm not moving.
What do you see with Abdul? You think he's dominant?
I think he's a little undersized. He was pretty good against the run.
He was
Penn State's recruited a lot of good players, man. They really have recruited a lot of good players, but I want to see him play the run in the pros a little more. I think he's a weak side. I think he's a weak side edge rusher. Xander, I don't think you can line him up if you got a tight end and a tackle on him. And I don't know if, I don't know. Like when I watch him, is he better than Nolan Smith?
Yeah.
They're kind of the same guy.
Nah, he's more dominant than Nolan Smith, dude.
Really?
He's dominant at the line of scrimmage. He gives people
probably
fits.
A little more physical.
Yeah, I think he's faster, and I think he has better moves. Like that's one of the reasons
he's got a better.
I think Stills. That's one of the reasons he was so dominant, even being a little bit undersized, because not only was he dominant athletically, but he knew how to move around you, and make a move on you. So I do like Abdul Carter, but I agree with you. He's a little bit smaller than I'd want.
That's fair.
All right, last super chat here before Philly 500. Prince Swayze says, is Saquon better than CMC? Both were in the same position where they were able to propel the team's offense, but Saquon had a more dominant effect. I think they're very different players, Prince, honestly. I really do.
Prince, Christian McCaffrey's had a better career than
Christian McCaffrey had 1,000 receiving yards. Like, they're way different players. Way different player. In my opinion. I personally, Prince, I prefer Saquon because I want my running back to be a great running back. I want my wide receivers to be great wide receivers. CMC was more versatile of a player. I prefer Saquon for my style. I would just rather build with a more traditional running back, and that's what Saquon is. By the way, Saquon Barkley is tremendous. Got really good at blocking last year, too. I mean, how many times did you see him make a big block that bailed Jalen Hurts out?
Actually, one thing he did really well in New York and what he's always been, he's been a great pass protector.
And that's what he was here too. I saw many times, even in the Super Bowl, Sills. Jalen made that one big throw in the Super Bowl, and you right in front of him, you saw Saquon level somebody. Got to be good at that in Philly.
And people have to understand something about where I say with Barkley. Barkley had one of the greatest years in the history of the National Football League. Derrick Henry's had one of the greatest careers in the history of the National Football League. Derrick Henry does it every year. He's the only player in NFL history with over 1,500 yards rushing. Barkley was, again, he's a product of the Eagles having a great O-line. John's right. It's a great take by John. You put Bijan Robinson, like I wanted, in Philly, he's 2,500 yards every year total offense.
I don't want to go that far. But
wait. The Atlanta Falcons, Michael Penix?
No, I know that, but you're
that Atlanta Falcons team's not that good, dude.
2,500 yards has been done once in the NFL history. So.
No, I'm talking, bro. What did he have? 1,500 yards in rushing last year, and what did he have? 400 yards receiving.
There's no doubt Bijan's a tremendous player. There's no doubt about that.
You're telling me you don't get 200 extra yards? That he 200 extra yards in
right, last year he had 1,456 rushing and receiving. He had 431. He had 487.
So you're telling me being on Philly's not worth an extra 600 yards?
Yeah, you're probably right. He had 1,456. He had 1,800 total yards last year. He had 1,900 total yards last year.
So you're 600 more yards playing with the Eagles.
All right. I'll buy it. I'm just saying.
How many catches did he have, too?
Catches last year, he had 61 catches.
So he almost had as many catches as AJ.
Well, AJ missed some games, but yeah, I mean, we weren't a humongous run or throwing team last year, but I got you. I
Dude, that kid's good.
No, he's good. There's no doubt. I'm just not ready to say he's better than Saquon. Sorry. Eric B again with $2. Eric, are you trying to give me let me see if Eric put a comment because he keeps dropping supers with no comments. Eric, I appreciate the $2, brother. Steve says just cuz. Thank you, Steve. And Drake's new album sucks with a super sticker. Appreciate you, Drake. Hating on the Drake's new album. All right, that's fine. All right, everybody. I appreciate you. Stills, thank you, brother.
You bet, brother. I appreciate it. Before we get out of here, bold prediction: Barkley rushes for 300 yards and breaks Adrian Peterson's record. That instead of him going for 2K this coming season, that I could see happening. Him breaking Adrian Peterson's record of 300 yards rushing. That would be more in line with what I would think. I showed you guys what guys do after gaining 2K. 1,300 yards. I think Barry Sanders had the most, was like 1,349. The rest of the guys were around 1,100 yards. Again, that's a lot of carries that he had a year ago. So let's, without further ado, bring in my friend. Make sure you check him out, too, during the draft. He's our friend. The legendary Philly 500 joins us right now. How you doing, brother?
My man, what's happening? How are you?
Are you concerned about the 300? Are you concerned about the 340 carries with Barkley going into this year? I
think at some point it probably it will catch up to you. So I would like to see. I would actually like to see them bring in another back in the draft and get like a three-headed monster going. But I don't know, man. I have this strange feeling that if he stays healthy, he's gonna get close to another 2,000 yards this year. I just got this feeling he's in this window of like a 3-year, 4 years maybe, where he's gonna play elite football. I just got that feeling about Barkley.
You think he's a better running back than Derrick Henry?
Right now, he is. I don't know that you can say his career was better, but right now, I think if you're judging guys on where they're at right now, I think he's a better back. But if you judge him on careers, you got to go with Henry.
Henry did have 1950 in rushing a year.
He did. He did. I think Barkley's the best back in football right now. Not just because of what he did in the play. I mean, look, they sat him the last game.
I know,
to keep him from a record.
To be fair,
and then he goes into the playoffs, and the guy's breaking off 50-yard runs. I mean, in pressure situation, I don't know what more he could have really done. The question to me is, can he continue to stay healthy? And I think if he can, I think he's in another 2-3 year window where he's going to dominate.
I'm going to propose something to you, and it's not marriage. You ready? Here we go.
Yeah, well, I say no.
I think you're taken already, homeboy. We're ready. Yeah. We're here.
Yeah.
So here, I'm going to give you pick number 32, pick number 64, pick number 96, pick number 134 to move up to the second pick in the draft or the third pick in the draft to draft either Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. Would you do it?
No.
So there's somebody at 32, and you think you're going to find somebody in this draft which, quite frankly, in my opinion, from 10 down, they all look the same dudes to me. I don't think it's an exceptional draft.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I don't disagree, but I don't think you need to. I guess to me, it's more that I believe in the guys that we've drafted, the young guys. I mean, I like Nolan Smith. I like Jalen Hunt. I want him to continue to develop. I don't see the need to go out and spend all those picks to get one guy. I would much rather go get position like safety.
So depth. So you're saying this? Hey, if we're going to do anything in this draft, the one thing that we've lost, and I don't think there's any debate, has been, especially on defense, has been depth. Let's go build the depth. And next year when we got 8 picks and we got all those top picks coming for us, and if we need a situational decision to be made where we do move up,
Yeah.
maybe next year's the one, and this year's the thing to build the roster. But, Jimmy Johnson always said this to me, Billy. He said, when you build a roster, you build it from the bottom up, not the top down, because you're only
Right.
as strong as the weakest link in your roster. If you're not,
Mhm.
he's always looking to replace the bottom 5%, not the top 5%. So, look at it that way. Build the depth now. Go get your player if you need him next year.
Yeah, I mean, partly. I just think, you got you got a lot of young guys that played well. Why not let them continue to develop and give them the opportunity to go out and and play and be good. I don't dislike Abdul Carter, and I think it would cost you a lot more to get him. But I really like Nolan Smith. I really like Jalen Hunt. I think those guys need to play. They're not going to play. Jalen Hunt's not going to play as much if Abdul Carter's there. So I'd rather get a position that I have a giant hole at that I could fill right away.
Is there somebody in the draft you're falling in love with that you really want to see them take down there at 32 if they do stay?
There's not, it's not like previous drafts where there's like one or two guys like, oh man, that's the guy. But I do like Nick Amenwari. And I think when you look at his size, his athleticism, I think Vic could use him in ways that, I think he could be a sleeper on our team. Very athletic. And I like Malachi Starks. But could I say, like, I'm super in love with them? Like maybe I was with Bijan Robinson a few years? No. I don't think there's anything like that. But I do think there's some decent guys. But I don't know if they'll be at 32. I still think you need to trade up.
Here's my take on Malachi Starks. And this is where I get into debates with people. Like you and I just said, and I think you agree with me on this, that it really after 10, maybe 15, from 15 to 50, these guys all have the same numbers and all the same grades on what you're looking at. It really doesn't matter what the name on the back of the jersey is. It's really what kind of – do you look at the third best pass rusher versus the second best safety? You know what I mean? You're looking
Right.
at 32. My problem is this. I hate this philosophy that the Eagles have. So you're going to tell me you're going to take the fifth best edge rusher, and then you
Right.
got the number one guy at safety, a need.
Right.
And when you hear this, that's a problem for me when here's the breakdown on him that I did. I mean, this kid, Malachi Starks, he's 6 feet, he's about 200 pounds. He's 21. He had 400 snaps. 225, I think, were in the box. 271 were in the slot. So you see he's a five-star kid. He was, get this, when he showed up in Athens, Philly, Kirby Smart saw two practices and said, that guy's my starter. In Georgia, where all these guys have been drafted, most of them by the Eagles, one of all the players, he went like this, that guy's my starter as a freshman. Imagine the winning that kid has done there. And you see the IQ. He's got it. I'll tell you what Ed Reed told me. Ed Reed, he's said he sets quarterbacks up. He'll turn his hips one way, knowing full well, wheel out, go back to where he's going to project a quarterback to throw the ball, and he's there. He's got great anticipation skills. You'd rather have the fifth best edge rusher than that guy at 32?
No. I don't even
But I
think
think the Eagles would.
Yeah, I do too. I think they would too. But I think it's going to be more like the 6th or 7th edge rusher. I really think there's going to be a huge run on edge rushers. Because nobody wants to pay those guys $40-something million. So when you see like James Pierce Jr. and those guys, I think they're long gone. So to me, you may be in a situation where the safety may be a position that you can actually draft a guy that's very talented, get the best safety, and have him play right away. Look how much success you had with the young guys playing right away. Why do I don't understand what the need is to go away from that. Like, keep doing it. It worked. That's how I feel.
I'm with you on it. Hey, before I move on to a couple one, I had a guy from USA Today call me. His name was Josh Peter. And we didn't get into it. It wasn't into it, but he started asking me questions about Shedeur Sanders. I haven't heard your take on him. Do you think that kid has success in the NFL? Are you a fan of his?
I think he's very talented, but I wonder, I just wonder, like, and maybe this is wrong of me, okay? Maybe, but you go through all your college with your dad, and then you're going to pros, and your dad is a big part of that, and there's always rumors that your dad's eventually going to coach you in the pros. It's like, I want to see what this guy does when he goes through tough times. I want to see what happens when he gets tested and challenged. Is he going to be able to handle it? Is he built for that? I don't know. I don't know about that part of him. And I'm not saying he can't, but I got to see it. So I have questions about him in that way. But I think from a physical standpoint, I think he's got all the tools.
You're down the line of thinking that I am, and this is what, in my opinion, made Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels,
right,
and some of these other guys that had to transfer, had to do things by themselves, had faced adversity. Tom Brady was constantly, they were never allowing him to win the job at Michigan. They were always trying to give the job to Drew Henson and other guys that when he was at Michigan, they never trusted him or believed in him. I think there's something of value to that. And like you said, you paved the golden ticket and the yellow brick road for a guy. How is he going to act when he has to go to shitty New York to play for the Giants?
Right.
Or shitty
and
Cleveland,
they're losing.
And they're losing all the time. How is your character going to pop? And how are you going to be there when your pop's not there to clean shit up for you?
Yeah, and I'm not saying he's not a nice kid or a
good guy. He may do it.
He's a great kid, but that's just stuff that you haven't. I don't think he's been tested yet. So to me, that's if you're asking me a question mark. Now, if I'm a team up in the top 10 and I need a quarterback, yeah, I would take a chance on him. But that's the question I have about him going into the draft.
Couple last ones here for you. What do you make of the Eagles not bringing in? They've had 1,000 visits, not one for tight end. Not one for tight end. And
it's even worse.
You got a guy.
It's even worse than that.
You got a guy, right? I mean, you got a guy sitting there who's maybe one of the top 5 or top 10 tight ends in the entire league. You don't want to pay him extra money. I mean, what are we talking about? I know he makes $15 million here, but you can't suck that up for 1 year and keep that guy on your team. Move him in the next offseason when you got a better plan. It just looks to me they don't have a plan here, or maybe you see it different.
This is what I've been struggling with this and talking about this in my videos the last few days, because not only have they not brought a tight end, they brought in no safeties, or they brought in one safety that's not a first rounder. Where's Walter Nolan's not been in there? James Pierce Jr. has not been in there. None of these guys. A ton of corners that are second and third round guys have been in. A bunch of offensive linemen that have been in. Only that kid from Boston College, to me, is the real legit first rounder that has been in. So to me, there's either two things going on. Three things. One, the Eagles are trying to keep everybody off, and they don't need to bring these guys in. Two, they're trading out of that first round pick, and they have no intention of playing. Or three, they're going to fool everybody. I don't know. I forget what the hell I said 3 was, but I think
they're either going. I think they're either going to do this: they're trading a pick for a player, or they're trading out, because exactly what you just said. I don't think they want to pay another first round draft choice. I think they want to pay.
That's a mistake, in my opinion.
I think they want to pay that next year because, dude, look at the players. Okay, then you and me can't explain Gardner Johnson. We can't explain Goddard. The only way you can explain it is money. Well, why are you really going to draft a guy at 32? Do you understand that money, every first rounder's money, it's $30 million guaranteed, no matter what, according to the collective bargaining agreement. It's $30 million. This is why I say right now that they're more willing to pay money, because you got Hurts's extension coming up. Cam Jurgens, you're going to do something with him. And you got Jalen Carter's contract. God forbid Nolan Smith has 10 sacks. You got another
Oh,
25 million you got to deal with here. So, I mean,
Get
why?
ready.
I think they're trading out of that pick. I think a lot of Philadelphia Eagle fans are going to be sitting there come draft night a week from tonight. And when they go like this, the Eagles trade that pick to the New York Giants or to the Raiders or to the Saints, where they could pick in the top of the second round. I think they're going to be very disappointed.
Here's my condition for it. Here's my condition for that first round pick. You trade out of it. I need a 2026 first round pick back. I need a first round back next year. I can't just come away with a second and a third. I need a first round pick next year. To me, that first round pick is valuable because you've got an extra year with that player. Look at that. You got Quinyon Mitchell and you got Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean has already played one of his 4 years. He's only got 3 years left on his contract already. You got Quinyon's got that extra year with the option. To me, that option year should be so valuable for the Eagles that they don't want to trade that first round pick.
I think that pick becomes valuable, potentially you getting a first round pick in the 26th draft. It depends who the team is. If it's the Saints, they need a quarterback. That becomes a high value pick. If you think that highly of Jackson Dart or whomever, okay, Jalen Milroe, whatever it is. I mean, Kellen Moore just saw what happened with Jalen Hurts. Does Kellen Moore believe he could take Jalen Milroe and duplicate what Jalen Hurts did this past season by creating a great running attack? New Orleans trades that pick. You know what I would do? My earlier pick, if I'm New Orleans, I mean, maybe I get that Ashton Jeanty guy, and at 32, I call the Eagles up, and I get Jalen Milroe, and I try to start to duplicate a little bit what I did in Philadelphia to win a Super Bowl. Why not go that route?
Yeah,
that's when it becomes a value pick.
Valuable. Well, and let's say you have all that, and then let's say the Giants don't take Shedeur Sanders. To me, the Giants are in a position, they got to come out of this draft with a quarterback or they're in trouble. So does that make that pick, that last pick in the draft, somebody trying to fight to get a quarterback going to overpay? And if I could get a 2026 first in it, I would do it. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I would even consider saying, I'll give you the pick for your first round pick next year. That's it. I'll straight up just switch. I think keeping that first round pick, especially if it's like somebody like the Giants, you're going to be picking in the top 10. So I would consider it. But remember, they got 20 picks in the next 2 years. How are they going to use all these picks, Sills? They're going to have to trade somewhere. So
see, that's where I'm saying, why don't you give up the farm now to go move up to get one of those premier kids, those blue chip? There's really 2 blue chip guys in this draft. Maybe if you think the tight end, but I'm not moving.
No, I get it.
Tight end.
No, I get it. I mean, I get what you're saying about Abdul Carter, and yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I just think, like, the one concern that I have right now with the Eagles, and we got to see how everything plays out. But I almost feel like they've taken the foot off the gas too much. You didn't need to take off the gas the way they have. You didn't need to get rid of C.J. Gardner-Johnson this year. You didn't need to trade Dallas Goedert this year. You don't need to all of a sudden be content with trading out and just getting whoever falls to you. Stay aggressive. Stay the course. The course has been the last few years. You draft really well. You play your young guys. You develop them with the defense. They got a great defensive coaching staff. Develop these guys. Now you're in a position where the way I see this draft is you've got a position at safety where I think you're going to have 2 talented guys that could literally be not only the best player available when you draft, but the position of need at the same time. So why are you trying to go away from that? That's the one thing I worry about them. I hope they just didn't take too much off the gas.
I have the Eagles defense this coming season. I'm projecting 15-20. Are you?
Say that again?
I have the Eagle defense somewhere between 15 and 20.
No, I have them top 10.
How? They lost half their defense.
Because I believe that most of the guys, except for C.J. Gardner-Johnson, are all replaceable. and I think they've already been replaced. I like I said earlier, I believe Jalen Hunt is the real deal. I believe Nolan Smith's the real deal. I think these guys,
you think Jalen Hunt will be a better player than Josh Sweat?
I think he will be just as good.
This year. He'll be just as good this year.
Yeah, you look at him in the playoffs. You look at their numbers in the playoffs, and it's so similar.
Okay, he was in a substitute role.
And he still put up about the same statistics.
So you think Mauro Jomo's a better football player than Milton Williams?
No, I don't think he's a better player. But I think that you're going to get the development, one more year of Jalen Carter. You're going to get Ojomo, who develops more. And then I think Jordan Davis is the guy everybody's sleeping on. I think Jordan Davis continues to get better. And then you're going to draft the guy. So I think that you may not be as good to start the season with these guys, but let the young guys play. Let them develop. You'll be fine.
You think
I don't think the drop-off is out of the top 10. I don't think it's from 1 to 15.
You think Tristan McCullum is going to replace Gardner Johnson's productivity?
Hell no. No. Okay. That's the one spot.
How about Keely Ringo replacing Slay?
Giant question mark. Giant question mark. Don't know. However, I don't think the drop-off from 1 to 15 or 20 is where we're going to see. You will see a drop-off, I think, but I think it'll be like 9, 10, somewhere around there.
So they'll go from 1 to 9, in your opinion, losing like half the defense.
Yeah, because I think half of them, maybe but 2 positions have been filled.
You're saying that Nolan's going to continue to get better.
Yes.
You're saying that Keely Ringo is going to be able to hold down.
Question mark. Question mark.
Okay. Go there.
Although I think Adoree Jackson is competent enough to hold the position down if needed. If Ringo can't get that position and win it.
And so you think Trotter, until Dean's back, will be able to replace the 50 tackles that Burks had in the playoffs?
I think so. I'm banking on it. But I'm also not, I'm still going to add another linebacker, whether it's through the draft or free agency after. Look at when they got Warren Burks. They got him late. I'm pretty sure they got him late. So
I think they did
get a guy.
Yeah.
They could get a depth guy. I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about is that safety spot. That's the spot I can't give you an answer.
Would you sign Simmons?
I'm confident in what?
Would you sign Justin Simmons? 1 year deal?
I might have to. Yeah, I might have to. But it doesn't, as you can tell, excite me because I don't think that's the answer. I don't think that's the answer.
But it could be a Band-Aid because I'm going to throw 2 last things at you here. The average age for the Eagle defense is 24.4 years of age.
Right.
Okay. Do you think you need some leadership on that side of the ball at least?
I do. Yeah.
Just because you're so young and there's been limited reps.
Yeah, I do. I think that's fair, and that could be a reason why. Now, if you come away with Nick Amenwari and then sign Justin Simmons, I'm good. Now we're talking. You know what I'm saying? But that safety spot, that's the one thing all year that has just baffled. I keep thinking about it. Like, I don't understand why you did that.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you on that here. Okay. Here's the last one. Do you draft a quarterback, and in what round? If you do.
No, I'm not drafting a quarterback.
I'm under the belief that here, I'll just so you know, I think you should draft a quarterback every draft that you have every year because you never know when you land on Jalen Hurts. You never know when you land on Tom Brady. You never know when you land on Brock Purdy. You never know when you land on Russell Wilson. You never know when you land on any of those guys because the quarterback position is so up and down at where you pick. You never know. No, I mean, Wentz gets hurt. Hurts' opportunity is it's the beginning. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Russell Wilson, the third-round pick. So to me, now look, I'm not talking about top 3 picks. I mean,
right.
Again, I'm not. Leon thinks that I'm talking about top 3 rounds. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this is how you find guys. This is how you found Tom Brady was a 6th rounder.
Right.
I mean,
I'm not opposed to it.
I think you draft a quarterback. Look at Tanner. Hey, how about this one? When you look at the guys in the draft, would you rather have Tanner McKee or Jackson Dart?
I'd rather have Tanner McKee.
Me
To
too.
be honest with you. Yeah.
Okay. Me
Yeah.
too. I mean, anyone, Jalen Milroe or Tanner McKee. I'm going to take Tanner
Right.
McKee.
Right.
They're talking about those guys being first-round draft choices.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. I'm not opposed to it. And you've got enough picks to go out and take a flyer on one guy. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Tell the folks where they can find you, brother.
Just type in Philly 500. I'll come up, or Mark Holmes, and I'll come up because he's probably done a video on me. So
500, you're all. Hey, 500, I got to tell you, man. So I texted him and I said, hey, look, man, don't worry. I won't talk about the Cowboy draft, and I won't talk about the Cowboy free agency. And he goes, why you want me on? I go, you're right. I changed my mind. Hey, brother, I'll catch you later, champ.
All right, my man. Thank you. Champ out.
That is the great Philly 500. Yeah, I was trying to figure out what the hell I was going to talk about when I was talking about the Cowboys. I was like, wait a minute here. Can't talk about their draft. Can't talk. I think the Cowboys have to have a Grand Slam. They have to have a Grand Slam draft. I disagree with Xander thinks they're going to improve. They are going to. He's right. They are going to improve because Dak's back. But Dak's got a lesser team. Dude, every year the Dallas Cowboys exit players. Tony Pollard, Zach Martin. Go down the list of guys that they're exiting off that team. They're signing a slot receiver, an edge rusher, and what's the most important position? Hey, get this. I get the quarterback's contract. But look who the Eagles do contracts with. Landon Dickerson. Redoing deals with Jordan Mailata. Restructuring Lane. Solidifying that O-line. Best O-line coach. You know what the Cowboys do? They're signing an edge rusher, a slot receiver. Shit, the Eagles don't even give a shit about the slot. The Eagles care about D-tackle, O-line. That's the difference. The difference between the Cowboys is priorities. The reason that you can go get Saquon Barkley is because you have Landon Dickerson and you have Jordan Mailata and you have Lane Johnson and you have Jeff Stoutland. That's why you can have Barkley. You look at Bijan Robinson, for instance. We mentioned him. This guy's a great football player. 1,900 total yards. It's irrelevant. Why? Because he's in Atlanta. They don't have a stout defense. They have an okay O-line. They don't have their quarterback situation ironed out. The kid Pitts from Florida, I don't know who he is. Why? That's a bad place for him. And he's a great player. You put that guy on the Rams, he's a sensational Saquon Barkley player. No doubt about it. Look at Barkley. Barkley's on a shitty Giant team. You put him on a good Eagle team, he's sensational. I mean, there's no coincidence about that. Look at Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's in Miami. What has he done except have bad character? Now I know why the Kansas City Chiefs moved off him. What do you have, another dispute here? A year ago, he was face down and cuffs on his back. Yesterday, cops were at his door with a domestic violence complaint. Situation that he had in Kansas City. I'll tell you what, for a guy who says he's innocent all the time, that shit surely chases him a lot. I don't really think much of him. And I see why the players voted him the best player in the league. I would never want Tyreek Hill on my team. Kansas City, they said the same thing. Okay? I mean, guy's a great player. Well, he's not great without Kansas City. He's a good player. I mean, I'm not having that on my team. Tyreek Hill, everywhere he's gone, Kansas City and Miami, there's been some domestic issue. Fuck that. I don't want some shit like that on my team. Dude, like I told you before, I'd rather have you rob a bank than have that guy in my locker room. Put your hands on chicks, it's a wrong move. If you don't stand for something, let me do this in my own locker room. You know what I'm going to do? Hey, I'll let you smoke pot. I'll get over that. If you have an issue where the Jordan Davis issue that you had at Georgia, all of that, I'll do my due diligence. I'll look into that. But at the end of the day, dude, if I find out you're putting your hands on women, that's unacceptable. Dude, I'd rather, and you know what? Every one of us have been in arguments with their loved ones. I'd rather have my wife hit me with a fucking shovel than me put my hands on her. That's not happening. I've never put my hands on my kid. You know why? That's the first thing that, and the only person ever to hit her would be her dad. That's not happening. It's not happening. You got to have some control of yourself, especially a football player. Hey, let me beat my kid. Great. You're not playing here with me, guy. Okay? I mean, that's right. Tyreek Hill, I think he's full of shit. So he gets accused of beating his kid. Now he's getting accused of beating his old lady. And now we're sitting here going like this. Well, he's innocent. I don't know about you, man. I might believe some of that shit might not be true. But 6 accusations of poor character? Come on now. You know, I've been accused of a lot of shit in my life. Domestic violence or sexual harassment, those ain't it. That ain't happening. Got to have some balls about yourself and controlling yourself. Okay? I mean, right, Sue? Hey, Sue, here. This is Denny's right. Hey, look, if somebody goes like this, you know, that accusation in Kansas City, has he ever done that again? No. Well, I don't know. Maybe something, I don't really know the story, but you hear 5 or 6 of them. It's repetitive behavior. It's called recidivism. Okay? Look at this here. M. Reyes, bone crusher, peaceful dude. Now, dude, I'm not putting my hands up to anybody. I don't think violence or putting your hands on somebody is a way to communicate with people. I think you got to control yourself. Okay, I do. I mean, that's not something I want in my locker room. I mean, here, that's kind of this. It's like the boy who cries wolf. That's exactly correct, Devin. How many times are you going to sit here and keep doing that shit? I mean, my aunt and my grandparents didn't raise me that way, and nor my wife. We don't do that stuff here. One thing will never be, and me and her both agree, you don't put your hands on your kids. You might put your hands on somebody else, but we ain't putting our hands on our kid. That was something we knew when we were younger. That ain't happening. He also got 10 baby mama. Hey, I don't know, man. Can you imagine having 10 kids? Holy cow. Let me tell you this. I'll say it again to you. If I had 10 kids, I'd cut my penis off. Shit, if I had 2 kids, I'd cut my penis off. Crazy, man. And Leon, 10 kids? Holy shit. I'd be poorer than I am now. Oh, man. Hey, right. I'm transitioning. Hey, shit, Xander goes, 10 kids would be electric. 2 more, and I got a starting 12. No, 1 more, I got a starting 11. I could start my own football team. How you doing? Let's get our offense together. Hey, Miss Kim, I need a fullback. Hey, Miss Kim, I need an OG. Field the D. Oh, me and my wife can field the defense. We do. We got it. My daughter's a defensive-minded player. All right. I did something, and I did some homework for you guys. 32 teams and 32 needs. Okay? 32 teams, 32 needs. We will go over that, and we will look into that. Hey, by the way, real quick, before we take a timeout, Xander, it's April 10th. Where's Nick Sirianni's contract? Where's the greatest coach in the history of the National Football League's contract? I mean, hey, wait a minute here. Because I'm not that smart. Let's see here. Since the greatest moment in the history of Philadelphia sports. Let me go down here a little bit here. Let me see. How many days has it been since February 9th? 60 days. So it's been 2 months tonight. Since February 9th. Where's Nick Sirianni's contract? The greatest coach in the history of the NFL. Where's his deal? Has anybody seen? Where's his contract? And by the way, whose contract do you do first? Howie's or his? Where's Nick's contract? This guy's the greatest. John Harbaugh just resigned. Are they going to let Nick go into this year? Going into a contract year? But did he check under the Lombardi? I don't know. Oh, I heard he did, Race. Came back, it wasn't there. Where's the contract? Greatest coach in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles doesn't have a contract. 60 days. Greatest coach in the history of the National Football League. He's the best coach to ever live. And he doesn't have a contract extension. All right. So I think this is a prove-it year for Nick and Jalen. Oh, no, I don't. No. No, Samuel. I'm sorry. I can't even see this thing here with Samuel. I can't even sell that. Samuel, watch this. I'll try it. This is a prove-it year for Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. They got to prove it this year. Man, I don't even Hey, man, I don't even believe that. Okay? I can't. Dude, I know you don't say it. Samuel, I can't believe that. I mean, let me try to sell it one more time. You know, organization believes, here, I'll try to set it up. You know, the organization believes this is all them and Howie. I think this is a prove-it year for Nick and for Jalen. You know, 29-03, didn't really have to play all that much. I'm joking myself. Nick will get 5 years, $100 million. To do what? Scream at the crowds? Be the best cheerleader there is? Okay? Funny you should say that. Hold on. We're working on it. That's a true story. Dude, the quarter. 5 years, 1.5. Yeah. I'd say, hey, here, Nick, in my opinion, I give him a 3-year contract. I pay him $18 million. I ain't making that guy the highest paid coach in the league. When I look at the highest paid coaches in the league, they got a job. So it's hard to sell that when the glare of the Lombardis in your eyes. Cheerleaders get rings too? Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know in real life. I don't know. He calls the plays this year. He's ready. Okay. What? Xander's keeping track of the time. Oh. 10 years, 75 million. 7.5 a year, Emirates. That's about right. If I were to give him a 10-year contract at 7.5, congratulations to you, man. That sounds about right. 7.5. He makes less money than the San Jose State head coach. Where's his contract? What the hell happened? Where are we here? All right. 32 needs. We're going to do that next. Still's out here making Jalen Hurts money only. Yeah. I know what he's talking about. Me, I'm a simple man. I got simple needs. Yeah, man. Who do you think I'm missing, Ellie? I got everybody after me. Hey, pretty soon, you know what they're going to do? Nicky Scarfo's family is going to be after Missing Ellie. Hey. Yo, Paisan. Yeah. Yo, Paisan. Come over here. Over here. Over here. Do me a favor. Please hit that like button. Don't forget my great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the #1 injury law firm in the country, with nearly $26 billion recovered for families across the country. They make them the #1 injury law firm in America. That is their track record. Look at what they're doing in California right now. All the folks that lost their homes, they are helping families recover money that these insurance companies canceled. Folks lost everything. Morgan & Morgan is getting restitution for those folks. Told you about the family in Pennsylvania that only wanted an insurance company to give them $650K. They thought they were going to take that. John Morgan and his team of attorneys, of thousands of attorneys, went in and said, no way. They ended up getting $26 million for that family. That family who got and was offered $350K, they were going to take it. John said, no way, man. They got that family $12 million. If you're ever injured, please check out my great friends at Morgan & Morgan at forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sales sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Please hit the like button. You guys are great. I appreciate you. And Philly 500, I appreciate you. Thanks for having me on. It was an interesting conversation for sure. It always is. Thank you, champ. I appreciate you, man, very much. Thank you again. 500, you're absolutely a legend. Thank you for coming aboard. And we so appreciate you guys. So did Howie, hey, follow me here. Did Howie Roseman force Brandon Graham into retirement? Dude, thank you. Thank you. Senor, you and I disagree a lot. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, bro, you and me here, thank you. See, Senor's kind of like one of my, even M. Reyes, all these guys. I love people who debate me. I hate yes people. I just don't like people coming on the show always agreeing with me. Now, that's not saying I don't agree with you. You do, okay? Well done. This guy's like Xander. Yeah, you can't get too fuzzy, man. Okay, you can't get too crazy here. I appreciate that, dude. Very good. Yeah. All right. WIP sucks. Remember something, bro. You guys make those radio stations. Like I'm going to be doing some work in Tampa for a friend of mine named Bruce Maduri. And I'm going to start doing some digital stuff. I told you guys this, and I'm going to be we're going to hopefully try to get on by April 20th. By the way, some of you might be able to call in. I'll give you more details. I think I'm only going to do a weekend, and I'm not going to do it. I was offered to do something Monday through Friday, but I'm not going to take away from this because I do 4 hours a day, and I'm not taking anything away from this because I'm building something. This is going to stay with me forever until I'm 1,000. So I may do something on weekends, but they're talking about doing a Big Sales Minute and throughout all the shows, Bubba the Love Sponge, what have you. So I'll be on in every show, like a Big Sales 90-second thing, something like that. Not leaving through. I'm not going anywhere. So it's probably going to be something like that. We're kind of structuring it and putting it around. And, so we're going to be doing that. But somebody asked me, goes, what do you think of Tampa radio? I go, listen to it. Listen to any radio. There's no talent. The sports fans are the people, especially Philly. Whew. Man, Philadelphia makes it doesn't matter who's on. They want their voices heard. They want their opinions heard. They don't give a shit who's behind the mic. Angelo, anybody. They want their voices heard. If they think that kid Ben Simmons sucks, I want to tell you about it. If they think Jalen Hurts is great, they want to tell you about it. Okay? That's, in my opinion, what makes that place great. Philly. Dude, I swear to God, Boston was great too. I won't lie. Talking to the Boston sports fans is almost the same thing. They want their voices heard. If I had to put in top 3 places I've ever talked sports, it would be Philly, Boston, and Tampa. Maybe Tampa second. It's funny, the people that are in Tampa, most of them are from the New England area. It's a transient city. You're like from Detroit, Boston, Philadelphia, or New York if you live in Tampa. So it's kind of like if you know that. Okay? New York, I don't think New York's a great sports talk city. What teams are you covering, Flexen, in New York right now? The Giants? The Jets? The underachieving Yankees? The overspending Mets? The never achieving Knicks? The always underachieving Rangers? The never showing up fans, Devils? They need one team in New York right now that's worth the shit to cover. The Knicks? Hey, by the way, I thought that was a huge story yesterday. John Morgan, or Dan, said right here on the program that my dad, Grant Hill, and another person are looking to buy a spot in Orlando and move the Rays. Have you heard that anywhere else? Only here. That's because John Morgan probably is one of the few people on the planet that can make that actually happen. Bills fans are good, but I've never talked sports in Buffalo. Yeah, I never had the privilege of talking sports in Buffalo. It looks like it'd be a lot of fun talking sports in Buffalo there. Hey, by the way, kudos to Pat McAfee. That was a great event for him. I'm not a hater. If you tune on, I heard even John with a little smirk, that thing last night with Pat. Well, let me tell you about that thing last night with Pat. He sold out the arena. And you know why people hate Pat? Pat's an ex-athlete. Pat is in their sandbox. Pat is outworking them. Pat has marketed himself and his show better than any person in my business, maybe in history. And they don't like him. The cool thing about what Pat McAfee has done, whether you like Pat or not, his takes, his show, he's outworked you. I admire that. I admire that. I admire people who outwork people. And he outworked you. Everyone in my business. And you know what the ultimate FU is with him? Including Stephen A. Smith. You know why Stephen A. Smith hates him? Stephen A. Smith needs ESPN. Pat McAfee doesn't. Pat runs his own ship. Stephen A. doesn't. That's why I love him. McAfee could look at ESPN and say, pound sand. I don't need. ESPN needs him more than he needs them. That's why they don't fire him. for the shit he said and done. This guy has done more in one show than I've ever done in my entire career. And I admire that. You know why? They can't touch him. Dude, that's power. If anybody in here thinks Stephen A. Smith, because he makes more money than Pat McAfee from ESPN and Disney, he's more powerful than McAfee, it's a lie. You know why? Pat owns his own farm. Stephen A. doesn't. Stephen A. has to go and is at the beckoning of Disney. Pat could pull that. You think if Pat McAfee pulled his show off of Disney right now, that he'd be less in the media world? Shit, no. He'd be the same. Get this. White privilege? Hey, bro. Anybody can start a YouTube channel they want. My cat can start one. Go work. Shannon Sharp is the second best. You know why? He don't need ESPN either because of his YouTube channel now. Shannon Sharp is also the king of his own domain. He don't need ESPN or First Take. That thing he does with, what's his name? The kid from the Bengals? Chad? Ocho Cinco? Dude, it's great. I'm not talking about shit, dog. He sells. Is Lane a Hall of Famer with the PED on his record? It'll stop him from being a first ballot. He won't be a first ballot Hall of Famer because of the performance-enhancing drugs. It'll probably be a second or third. And the fact that he's a right tackle. Probably going to second. Okay? Probably second. So, congratulations. By the way, Jason Kelsey, I like that, what you guys said. Jason Kelsey has his own podcast. That's gold. Xander said that to me. Xander, you said that to me the other day. And radio, man, is fleeting for me. I have no idea how long that thing will last. I know this will last forever as long as I want it to. Not going nowhere. You know why? This is the closest thing to a sure thing. Okay? This is the closest thing to a sure thing. Radio is so not. I got to kiss someone's ass every damn day. I don't kiss anybody's ass. Dude, this is the gold mine. Here, I'll put one last thing on it, and I'm very happy for Pat McAfee. This is the thing. He's right. We just got to dig for the gold. Just digging for gold next. People don't want to dig for gold. They want it handed to them. All right. We've talked a lot. Hey, by the way, that's not a bad show on Barstool. I check them all out. The best show ESPN has outside of McAfee's, it's still, pardon the interruption, with Wilbon and Kornheiser. They don't promote it as much as they used to. That show's still great because Tony Kornheiser, in my opinion, is one of the top 10 best hosts that's ever lived in national sports talk. Portnoy's now starting to bend because he's starting to see that liberals are now jumping on his side because he's against Trump. So he sees a gold mine. He's an opportunist. Not bad. Created Barstool. I don't have a problem with that. Okay? He's an opportunist. Pat's a hard worker. Colin Cowherd. He's probably the best radio guy right now. Colin's the best radio guy. Okay? Colin's safe. He doesn't go crazy. He's been able to work every Monday. He's good with advertisers. He's got some pretty good takes. He's exceptional behind the mic. Yeah, Colin's probably the best radio national guy out there. Pat's not very good when it comes to executing a show. But what he is he's an entertainer. And that's what sells more. Being good behind the mic doesn't sell. Being an entertainer behind the mic sells. Stop lying. You kiss Josh Allen's ass. Yeah, I kiss a guy's ass who's great. You bet. I love greatness, Flexen. That's why I don't root for, or I shouldn't say root. That's why I don't look at Hurts and go, that guy's great. That guy's good. There's a difference between great and good. Allen and Hurts. It's like a great-looking chick and an ugly one. Yeah. Oh, man. You have a really good-looking girl, and you have an ugly one. Who do you think is the ugly one? Hurts has the chip. Hey, ugly chicks have the chip, too. Oh, man. How you doing? Lexus, so you love a participation. Yeah, and over a winner. No, you're right. Hey, man. No, I love a more talented player over the other. He's a more talented player. You got to stay in little guardrails. You're in Philly. That's okay. Won a Super Bowl. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to you. Make sure you don't lose a lot of players. Hey, get this. You know one thing they were right in Philly? They were okay with losing all those players on defense, but they ain't losing any of those players on offense. You know why? Why do you think they're not cutting players loose on offense like they did on defense? That quarterback ain't the same. They'll get over being on the defensive side. Do you go from 1 to 10 or 12 versus getting rid of all that talent on offense for Hurts? We'll see how Jalen plays when Barkley's not back there. How do you think? Hey, that's a great question. You think Jalen Hurts can win a Super Bowl without Saquon Barkley? Do you? You think he can win a Super Bowl without him? I don't. Almost did in 22. So did Brock Purdy almost. Do you think that Jalen Hurts can win a Super Bowl without Saquon Barkley? Do you believe if Barkley wasn't on the team, they would have won the Super Bowl? So wait a minute. Do you believe if Barkley wasn't on the team, you'd win 14 games in the Super Bowl? Easily. So if Saquon Barkley wasn't on your team and you didn't have to rely on the 2903, you think you're winning a Super Bowl. With the same defense, yes. Yes. Jalen would have to, like he did in the first 4 games, not be the turnover machine he was. First 4 games, how many turnovers did he have? Took the ball out of his hands, put it in the star of the team's hands. Saquon Barkley. He was a turnover machine first 4 games. Was he not? Hey, Kyle, if you're in here, tell me how many touchdowns Hurts had versus turnovers in the first 4 games before they decided to give the ball to Barkley. How many TDs to turnovers? he had in those first 4. Yeah. Uh-oh. Ask yourself, you ain't winning the Super Bowl. You're not winning the East. You're not winning the East. Hey, how many? No, I'm not talking 23. Hey, try listening, jackass. I said how many last year, 24, in the first 4 games, did turnovers to intercept, turnovers, fumbles, turnovers, did he have the touchdowns? That's all I'm asking. Oh. And do you believe if Barkley's not on that team, Hurts carries your team to the Super Bowl? I don't believe that. And the amount of sacks he took, 45. Yeah. Oh, nobody wants it. What happened here? Nobody's, hey, almost doesn't count. Almost. I'll look it up. I'll bring it up tomorrow. I'll make sure we bring that up tomorrow. In the first 4 games, when they thought that Jalen Hurts was going to carry the team, how many touchdowns he had to turnovers. And then when they came out of the bye, they averaged 20 passing attempts, and he had very little turnovers. Okay? There's no way they win the Super Bowl a year ago. No way. Hey, by the way, how many people believe if I heard John and Xander talking, how many people believe if Derrick Henry was on the Eagles, he would have broke the record? John McMullen made a great point today. What was Barkley in New York? Average, below. Barkley, Philly, he was great. Henry with that old line would have had 2,500 rushing yards. He had 19 last year in a decent old line, not like the Eagles. What do you think Henry would have done behind that Eagle old line? He'd have went for 2,500 yards. You're trying to tell me you don't think Derrick Henry could have did the same? He almost did it this year. Since you're using almost, he had 1940 this year. This guy had 1,900 yards. He wouldn't have done that with that Philly O-line and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. That's right. Almost ain't it. Bring up 22 to me. Get this. Why didn't Henry do it with a better quarterback? Because the quarterback threw for 4,000 yards and ran for $1,000. He wasn't the centerpiece player in that offense. Barkley was the centerpiece player on the Eagle offense all year long. 2,005 rushing yards. Do you understand? He had as many rushing yards as Hurts had almost in passing yards. You tell me who the star was. Jalen Hurts would have won the Super Bowl in the NFC East without Barkley is asinine. Derrick Henry on the Baltimore Ravens, it didn't matter. The year previous, he won 15 games without him. All right. 32 needs. Okay? I'm not sure what your logic is. And I've never seen Saquon Barkley put good years back to back. Have you? Have you ever seen Saquon Barkley have 2 years in a row of great football? In his entire 8 years or 7 years? Have you? Senor, have you ever seen Saquon Barkley have 2 good years in a row? Here, I'll wait. Here, I'll wait. You witnessed one? I've seen Henry do 4. You're about to. Now I know why. At Penn State. Oh. At Penn State. All right. 35 points defense was the problem. Oh, I know. Twiz thinks that the Eagles would have won the Super Bowl without Saquon Barkley in the huddle last year. You would have won the Super Bowl without Barkley. Come on, man. I think, hey, I'm hurting some people's feelings here, so I'm gonna move on. I can tell you guys a little bit. So all right, calm down. I don't want anybody crying here. But wait, there's more. Oh man. Hey, I know. It's all right. It's all right. I got you. All right, I want to do this before we get out of here. This draft's going to be a draft where like I said to you guys earlier, from 15 to 50, I think you're looking at the same dude in grades. I don't think there's exceptional talent. Now, look, I'm not suggesting to you that one of these guys, I'll tell you this, I'll make a point to you here. The chances of a first-round pick outside of Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter being a superstar player in the first round, I don't think it's very high. I think the chance that a guy in the third round, the second round, top of the fourth round could have just as much success as a guy sitting at 25 or 32. That's what I think of this draft. I mean, I don't see it. I watched these guys in college. You know what's crazy? Philadelphia sports fans, and I'm not saying Xander. By the way, when Xander talks college football, I know Xander's a college football fan. And I know he watches college football. We've talked about it for 5 years. Plus his love for Bama, SEC. I believe him. The rest of these guys that are in Philadelphia talking college football is funny. It's a pro city. What would they know about college scouting? Or watching what do they do? Watch it for 3 months? Xander and I watch it every day. I pick all-star teams. I vote for the awards. I showed you guys last year. I voted from the Heisman to the Maxwell to the Nagurski to the Bednar, everything. I vote on every award there is. The Bolitnikov. And I watch these kids. Here, I showed you this before. Let me see if I got another one. I get them every day. I don't know how ESPN is starting to send me. Here, there's another one. The Penn State sends me stuff every day. Every single day about their upcoming kids that are going to play this 2025 season. You know why? I picked the preseason All-American team. I picked the top 25 college football teams. I'm a voter on the top 25. I vote every week on the top 25 college football teams. Okay? And so I watch it. I mean, the nauseating thing is Saturday night, I got to stay up until the early morning until the last game is played on the West Coast before I submit my top 25. And so when you're talking about what teams' needs are, and then you're talking about some of the players that are in the draft, I mean, I look at this draft and I go, how good was the college football season a year ago where you thought that those kids were going to be like the kid from Boise State? He looks like a brick shithouse. But I mean, you know what? He might be great. But I think there's a real gamble on that. How about the Gators? I think the kid Napier saved his gig. I thought they were going to fire his ass early in the year. And he saved his job. He won some big games. I think he beat LSU. Had some big wins down the stretch. And Napier saved his job. And actually, if you think about it, I thought Napier really did a hell of a job down the stretch of the SEC. And he saved his gig. He did a good job. I mean, he was good. All right, real quick here. Arizona Cardinals. Their needs. They're weak in D-line. That's why they got Josh. They covered the edge. They needed an edge rusher. So they went and got Josh Sweat. But they need interior D-tackle help now, especially the way Jonathan Gannon. I think they need a corner. Their offensive line is suspect. I think what Kyler Murray does, in my opinion, him being able to move around, I think kind of clouds a little bit of how that offensive line is not that good. So I think they need an offensive tackle. They need some more linebacker play. They've got to get some more wideouts outside of the kid from Ohio State on the other side. And I think they need some offensive guards or in centers. They're limited in that line. They're still years away from really being a team that can compete in the NFC West. Atlanta, we talked about them. They need an edge rusher. They have struggled for that. I don't know how long, but they need a pass rusher down there, especially in Raheem Morris's defense. They need to get a they need to get a pass rusher. They're in such a desperate need for that. They need some corner help. They need linebackers. They need an interior defensive line. Baltimore, I can't think who their edge rusher is. Look at the teams that are going to need edge rushers. I just named you three. Baltimore, Atlanta, and Arizona are going to draft edge, potentially with their first pick, depending how the board falls. Here, I'll give you another one. Carolina, after getting rid of Brian Burns, another edge. Buffalo, they need D-line help. Got to stop the run. I did this report here. Chicago. I think there's a great chance a kid from Boise State goes to Chicago. It's a pretty high pick. But that dual back that they had in Detroit when Ben Johnson was the OC, I could see him there with DeAndre Swift and that kid Genty running the ball. They did a lot of work in the offensive line. They need an edge rusher. They need pass rushers. And I would say they need a tight end. Cincinnati, edge rusher. Especially, I'm going to make a prediction to you. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to trade. Remember I said this. You guys can mark the tape. I think the Buffalo Bills trade their first-round pick to Cincinnati for Trey Hendrickson. Remember I said that. I think they'll trade their first round pick to Cincinnati for Trey Hendrickson. They need a pass rusher. And Cincinnati is not going to pay Trey Hendrickson. So I could see the Buffalo Bills doing that. Okay? Cleveland, they're going to get edge on the other side because they let Smith go. They're going to take Abdul Carter. They need some interior D-line help. They need help with the safety. They're not bad at corner. And I think they need an offensive tackle. And they need a running back, believe it or not. The kid from Texas might be a good fit there in second or third round. But something like that. The Cowboys. The two desperate things the Cowboys, actually three things. Think about it. You got to get wide receiver 2 on the other side of Lamb. Get desperate need of a running back. And I've been saying now for weeks, the kid from Boise State probably lands there at 12. But since you lost the edge rusher, you need an edge rusher. Those are your biggest needs in Dallas. Receiver, running back, and edge rusher in Dallas. Denver, I think another running back. You got rid of Judy. You need a receiver. I think you need D-line help there. Detroit. I like what they did last year by getting that kid Smith and bringing his ass up there. But I could see Detroit going into draft and getting edge and interior O-line. Edge and O-line and D-line. I think that's where Brad Holmes is going to hang out his time in Detroit. I think he hangs there. Green Bay, they need corner help. Desperate. And they need a pass rusher on the other side of the kid they got up there. I think they need to find another wideout too. They got a group of good dudes, but not great dudes. Houston, you lost Laramie Tunsil. You need O-line, interior O-line. And I'd get another guy on the other side of Nico Collins. Indianapolis, tight end, center, right guard, edge. Dude, there is a ton of teams that need edge rushers. And I happen to agree with you guys. I think edge rushing, man, I think that's going to be a premium spot taken. You're going to see a ton of dudes taken at edge. Jacksonville, interior D-line, corner help, OT. That's why they got Fred. Another wideout. Kansas City, my God, O-line all day and all night. O-line, D-line, OG in there. I wouldn't mind them getting another edge rusher because they got killed in the Super Bowl. Raiders, they haven't replaced Josh Jacobs. They need another receiver. They lost Devontae Adams. Then, the Raiders haven't had good cornerbacks in 25 years. Since Charles Woodson. Here's where I think Goddard lands. I think the Chargers need a tight end big time. Tight end, wide out. They need help at linebacker. They need some more O-line help. The Dolphins, O-line all day. O-line safety. And corner. Minnesota, boy, do they need safety and corner help. They've really pretty much addressed it with Jonathan Allen and Hargrave up front. Linebackers aren't too bad, but boy, they need secondary help, man. And maybe some depth in the D-line. New England, OT, corner, edge, wide receiver, running back. New Orleans, corner, edge, OT, quarterback. New York Giants, quarterback, corner, OT, D-line, depth. The Jets, O-line, tight end, D-line, of course, a quarterback, Justin Fields. Okay. Steelers, QB, D-line, running back, you lost Najee Harris. San Francisco, offensive line, corner, an edge on the other side of Nick. Seattle, interior O-line, wide receiver, OT, probably need another edge. Buccaneers, edge, linebacker, corner, safety. Tennessee, quarterback, wideout, edge, O-line. Washington, edge, corner, running back, safety. Just a brief synopsis of the 32 teams' needs. 14 days to tonight is the NFL draft. Guys have been great. I appreciate you guys a lot. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Big Z, Big Joe, thank you. 2 to 6 tomorrow, and we'll see you on the flip side.